Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3.
Good evening, everyone. I humbly acknowledge the land we live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory, traditional lands of the Cree and Dene, and unceded territory of the Métis people. For the record, we have Councillor Marcel joining us online, and if Councillor, you can have your camera on for voting purposes, please. And if anyone in attendance wishes to address council on any of the agenda items, please register with the Legislative Services desk to my right prior to the start of that agenda item. You'll have 5 minutes to present, remain on topic, and remain seated for questions, please. And if you notice, most council is wearing pink shirts today. It's in light of tomorrow's February 25th, which is Pink Shirt Day, and it's recognition for that day is why we're wearing these shirts. Pink Shirt Day was inspired by a simple but powerful act of solidarity of 2 students in Nova Scotia who wore pink to support a classmate who was being bullied. What started as a small gesture has grown into a national and international symbol of inclusion, respect, and courage. When we wear pink, we send a clear message: bullying is no place in schools, no place in workplaces, and no place in our community. We stand together to support one another, no matter what our differences are, and to create a culture rooted in empathy, acceptance, and kindness. Today, pink is more than a color. It's a commitment to treating everyone with dignity and respect. And if anyone knows me, knows I consider myself one of the biggest advocates of anti-bullying. I'll stand behind you, I'll stand beside you, and if you need, I'll stand in front of you. So I want to thank my council colleagues for wearing pink today, and hope to see a lot of the community wearing pink in solidarity with the Anti-Bullying Day tomorrow. And before we move on to the agenda, we have a councillor's motion. Councillor Scott.
Thanks, Mayor. Councillor Don Scott hereby give notice of my intent to bring forward the following motion for Council's consideration at the March 10th, 2026 Council meeting. The Council direct administration to conduct a targeted review of the Fort McMurray Land Use Bylaw and associated permitting and approval practices with a focus on improving flexibility, proportionality, and predictability for applicants while maintaining appropriate public safety, quality control, and community standards. Without limiting the scope of the review, administration is directed to examine and report back to Council on A, opportunities to increase administrative discretion and fast-track approvals for low-impact variances, minor developments, and routine applications. B, potential exemptions or simplified approval processes for small-scale or non-impactful developments, including minor structures, renovations, and accessory uses. C, options to streamline public consultation requirements where proposals align with existing municipal plans and policies. D, permit validity periods and extension processes, including options to better accommodate construction timelines affected by weather, supply chain disruptions, or labor availability. E, enforcement and compliance practices, including the potential use of graduated enforcement measures and voluntary compliance periods for minor or first-time infractions. F, parking, transportation, and signage requirements, including opportunities to increase flexibility in mixed-use or commercial areas. G, alignment of cannabis and liquor store regulations with provincial standards and comparable Alberta municipalities. H, opportunities to improve clarity, consistency, and efficiency in environmental and floodplain development approvals, and that administration report back to Council with findings, comparative analysis, and recommended options, including any required bylaw amendment or policy changes within 90 days. Don Scott.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Can I still make the motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel, and thanks for the second, Councillor Allen. I'll call for a vote. Councillor Marcel online. In favor, thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. I'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Councillor Boussier.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I don't know about removing it. I just wanted to, maybe it's a question for our CLO regarding the recent hiring of the CAO. So is that something discussed now or later?
We can move into in camera if it's.
No, it's just general questions on the way we handled this one compared to the previous two. And then I just want to comment about the way it's recorded. It might be splitting hairs on my participation or lack of it on the,
Oh, okay.
on the notes.
I'm not sure.
So the question is, the last, were you going to say something, Jade, first?
Oh, I was going to say through the chair to Councillor Bussiers with respect to minute clarification, this is the time to do any clarification to the minutes, yes.
Okay, so on the thing, it says absent and absence, but I was absent, but I had to recuse myself for external
So it
lawyer.
should say recused, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're correct. It should say recused.
Okay. And then the second question is, the previous hirings, the two previous CAOs, we actually did it in public. There was opportunities for delegates to speak to it, but yet the most recent hiring, we didn't do it for, so I'm just wondering why we didn't do it the same way for this particular hiring.
I don't even remember. I don't remember us.
Yeah, for
delegates.
Paul and Henry, we had opportunities for delegates to speak, and there were no delegates for both. And then we voted. But it was
I would have to look back the minutes to comment.
okay.
Through the chair, I'd have to take it away. I haven't been involved up to this point in the hiring and the process surrounding this situation.
It's just a process change, and I was just seeking
It
some
might be
clarification.
also Councilor Bussier, just, it might because this, when we used external legal HR for it, instead of using the HR in our building, we used an external legal for that. So maybe a different process. I'm not sure. I'd have to
Okay.
look back.
Okay.
But that's just off the top of my head.
Okay, thank
The
you.
only change I can think of. Thanks. Councilor Allen?
Thank you, Worship. I would just comment on that, I know I've been through an awful lot of CAOs over the years, and to have delegations during that appointment would be highly unusual from my experience. Typically with any HR decision, that's not something that we would bring forward as a public debate.
Through the chair to Mr. Allen, no, I appreciate that, but I did go back and watch the one where we hired Hunter and the one we watched Thorkelson, and there was a call for delegates in both of those. So I'm just seeking clarification why it wasn't the same with this one. That's all.
Yeah, and I'll look back on that, Councilor Bussier. Thanks. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Can I have someone make the motion? Councilor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that recommendations contained in items 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5 be approved.
Thanks, Councilor Weigel, and thanks for a second, Councilor Van Castian. I'll call for a vote. Councilor Marcel in favor? Thank you. Councilor Marcel's in favor online. And that's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. We've got a new and unfinished business. We'll begin with the item 7.1, a report on Vista Ridge Seasons Park 2026 capital budget request. I'd like to invite Community Services to bring forward the report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Janelle Fleury, Manager of Community Partnerships and Initiatives. This evening, I am presenting a request for funding from the Capital Infrastructure Reserve to support the 2026 capital needs for the Vista Ridge All Seasons Park. The RMWB is entering into a new operating agreement in 2026 with the Vista Ridge Recreational Association. As the current agreement is being reviewed to identify areas for improvement, administration is simultaneously working to realign operations with these improvements rather than waiting for a new operating agreement to be finalized. This means there has been a change in process by which the capital needs for Vista Ridge are met. Through the current operating agreement, it states that the Vista Ridge Recreational Association shall not be responsible for capital financing costs, any capital expenses involving replacement of any component of the All Seasons Park, or procurement of any element of the All Seasons Park. And the organization has received municipal facility capital grants to have direct control of capital needs since 2018, despite that language. The Vista Ridge All Seasons Park is a municipal asset, and all capital procured to date using the municipal facility capital grant have become assets of the RMWB. To provide better oversight, including life cycle planning and procurement, administration is working collaboratively with the Vista Ridge Recreational Association. Going forward, capital needs for the All Seasons Park will be vetted by the Capital Project Steering Committee and funded through the annual capital budget process. The 2026 requests include several essential investments, such as equipment for safety response and grooming for winter and summer operations. The administrative recommendation is to fund $443,600 from the Capital Infrastructure Reserve to meet those needs. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. And going through it, I don't, in any way, don't think these are important things for Vista Ridge. My only question is, we completed budget a few weeks ago, and I believe that would have been a good time to have it in the budget so we could budget for it and tax accordingly. So now we're a few weeks after budget and we have a $500,000 request that wasn't budgeted for.
Through the chair, I appreciate that point. When we begin doing the capital budgeting for this fiscal year, we start that process in June, July of the previous year. At that time, we were still working through the steps of who the operator would be for 2026 when the current agreement expires in March. So as we resolved that at the council meetings in September and December, we knew our path forward. We were delayed in bringing forward this request. Also because it's a change in process, we felt that there was some value to separate it out of the budget.
Okay, but if it was a change in operator, we still need the same improvements?
Through the chair, if there was a change in operator, we wouldn't have had the information. So the operator brought this forward. When it comes to programming equipment or special needs, we rely on their expertise.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess just still on the mayor's question, was this list the recommendation from Vista Ridge?
Through the chair to Councillor Weigel, correct, yes.
And so whether Vista Ridge was going to be the operator or somebody else or RM, we would have still needed this same equipment, would we have not?
Through the chair to Councillor Weigel, I presume based on their expertise that this is needed. We, in changing the process last year, didn't collect a capital application from them, so we received this information later.
So you guys didn't ask them for a capital ask?
Not until later in the year.
Did you get a capital ask for them before budget?
Yes.
So we could have added it to budget,
Yes.
and we chose not to?
We didn't. Yes, we didn't add it into budget. As I mentioned, because it's a change in process, there was some value in separating it for visibility that this is no longer a grant, that it is through the capital budget. And we were also still internally working through process.
What was the change in process?
So now that the capital grant will come through, or sorry, the capital purchases for Vista Ridge will come through the municipality. It will go through the Capital Project Steering Committee to be vetted. So we were working with internal experts through Public Works to vet the list before. So as I mentioned, the capital requests generally are added earlier in 2025 for 2026.
Yeah.
And as we were still working through that process at the end, and this being a new process with this operator, they didn't make it into that council report.
Okay, so this wasn't on Vista Ridge. This was a new process through RMWB.
Yes.
Hence why the delay.
Yes.
So it was on administration.
Yeah.
Second thing, and just with talking to the operator and a couple things aren't on this list that I thought was on the original, one being the padding, and the second being the washrooms in the ice rink. Did we remove those? I think the padding actually, they've spent the money through their operating. I guess so the question would be, are we going to top that up, or is that going to come back later because it came out of their operating? And then where did the washrooms land?
Through the chair to Councillor Weigel, so the pads that you're talking about are tower pads, so they protect the base of the pad from skiers if they crash into them. That actually isn't a capital request, it is an operating expense, and they had the funds in their account to make that purchase, so we asked them to proceed so that there was no delays. For the washrooms, that was not included in their capital request for 2026. We have had conversations internally with project delivery and facility service on who is the best delivery for that project. Facilities right now is doing a condition assessment and identifying any needs, and they'll also bring forward new needs in 2026 if required.
I think, but I think part of that comment, I think the washrooms, if I do understand, the conversations were the fact that RMWB were going to take responsibility, and so that's why they weren't part of the ask. I know that there was two different numbers. There was a patch job, I think, for $130,000 to fix as is, and then there was a prefab idea for $400,000. And so if that got taken back to the RMWB, or I guess why, that's why that wasn't part of their capital ask, because they were then under the understanding that the RMWB was going to take that on. So through your, I guess, vetting assessment, did we just feel like that wasn't needed this year?
Through the chair to Councillor Weigel, I might defer to my colleague in project delivery.
Through the mayor, the question. Effectively, we are still doing our assessment, so we don't know the exact details on how we're going to deliver a washroom facility to the overall area. So once we do the assessment, we'll figure out what the cost will be. We'll determine what the cost estimate is, bring forward a project, and then deliver it.
Okay. And so, in all due respect, the washroom's been down for 2 seasons. So how long does it take to assess?
So I can speak to the last year as director of facilities. We engaged our team to hire a consultant. We brought our consultant in. Again, it comes down to a lot of the questions around Vista Ridge. So we are now working with that vendor to do an overall assessment of Vista Ridge. It does take time, and we'll be working as quickly as we can to finish it.
Okay. I guess I don't want to sound rude, but as like something that goes out there, it's been a year and a half to fix washrooms, and the back and forth, I guess, what's the normal process to go through? And I guess, and in all honesty, like what are consultants consulting on? If it's broken or not, best way to move forward, what would that consultant be?
So a consultant, I'll see the chair of the question, the consultant would look at all aspects of it. So it comes down to looking at, excuse me, where the water's coming from, effluents going, the condition of the structure itself. But what's more important is we don't want to limit ourselves to just looking at one thing. We want to look at all options. We've talked internally about what are the best options for the Vista Ridge folks, and making sure we look at all options and make sure we're not limiting ourselves.
What's the average time to fix something like this? Like, is it normal to look years down the road to fix washrooms?
Is it normal? To the question, I think it takes time, but I don't think the 2 years is appropriate. But that's why we're making our best effort to do our assessment as quickly as possible and then deliver a project thereafter.
Okay. How much does a consultant cost in a case like this?
I can't speak exactly to it, the exact number. I can come back to Mayor Council with a number as to what we're paying. What we also have done to find efficiencies is to use the same consultant for multiple assessments through our entire facilities area. So,
and do we not have the expertise in-house to look at something like this?
It's possible we could use some team members to look at different aspects, but we tend to rely on experts in this case, particularly when it comes to the building envelopes. In terms of our expertise of building envelopes, it's quite limited, actually. So water, sewer, obviously we have, UGS and our own project management folks, but most of our teams are civil based, and our building envelope is not as robust.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So is it fair to say that, seeing how this isn't in this budget cycle, this won't be fixed till summer 2027?
To the question, I wouldn't necessarily say that, because I wouldn't want to wait for a budget cycle. If we have a solution, we'll bring it forward as quickly as possible so we can deliver.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Councillor Boussier?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Janelle, the agreement's in place now with Vista Ridge?
Through the chair to Councillor Boosiers, it's not. We did get the draft agreement back from Legal Services yesterday, and that will go to the operator to review. They have struck a committee for next week.
Okay, it's been like 4 months. So was there substantial changes to the scope? Like my understanding was it was, in what I read, that it was basically going to be a fairly consistent agreement to what was there before. Is that true?
So I believe, and I don't want to speak out of turn, I don't think we have a rep from legal here tonight, but I believe they waited until the December 9th decision to start drafting the agreement. We did hear that there were substantial changes to the template. The template that they had in place needed an overhaul.
Nobody from legal here? No. Do you have any information on this, ICO? What?
Not in those particulars, no.
Is it normal? Is it standard practice? It would take this long? Everything that I think we heard from council or to council was there wouldn't be a lot of delays. This is like 4 months, so I imagine puts them, and I'm going to assume it wasn't you because I don't think it was, but what happens? You knew what you want, you had a lot of conversations, and so then it goes to legal and it's been sitting there?
Yeah, I am not privy to their process, but I know that they have been working on it. Most of the operating agreements that we have in place have been in place since before my time here, but I did have the experience last year of drafting a new one or working with an organization on a new agreement, and it did take several months. So I think that is currently our standard.
Was it your understanding the system, the machine, that is the RMWB, would be waiting until December before moving? That was not my understanding. Was it yours?
We were doing work and having conversations with Vista Ridge through community services. So we were gathering which improvements were needed for the contract. Not aware of what the timeline for legal would have been after that point.
No, but my question is, was it your understanding that they wouldn't proceed until budget was finished?
Through the chair. So I don't think they were waiting for budget. I think they were waiting until after the December 9th discussion about the operator when it was on council's agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Boussier. Councillor Scott?
Sorry, I just had a quick discussion with the interim CIO, so I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for administration? Can I have someone make the motion? Or sorry, do we have any delegates for this item?
We have no registered delegates for this item.
Can I have someone make the motion? Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that $443,600 be added to the 2026 capital budget for the Vista Ridge All Seasons Park as outlined in Attachment 1, funded by the Capital Infrastructure Reserve.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Thank you, Councillor Lawana-Boussier, for the second. Does Council have any discussion, comments, or questions or debate points? Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have the operator here from Vista Ridge. Can I ask Bernice a question? If she's willing?
If she wants to come up, Bernice. You'd probably be the expert on what's going on out there.
Thank you, Bernice. Sorry. Is your understanding that did you submit, was it you that submitted the budget for operating for this year?
Yeah, so our general process is during the summer, we would prepare the operating grant request and the capital grant request, and we would upload them through the portal.
Yeah.
So we prepared them. I submitted them to the board for approval in July. When the portal was available, we submitted the operating grant, but there was nowhere to submit the capital grant, which is when I reached out to these fine folks, and we started discussing it unofficially. So Janelle and I and Bill Brook had a meeting mid-August. The ask that was presented to you guys today is the same ask that I presented in August, with the exception of the $30,000 for the tower and hydrant and pedestal pads, which we bought ourselves.
Awesome. So those pads, would you consider that, as an operator, would you consider that operating or capital?
It's the million-dollar question. I was told anything over $10,000 was capital, so that's why I put it in there. But then last year, the rentals were $250,000 and they were not capital. So that decision might be above my pay grade. All I know is we put it in as capital and it wasn't, so.
So in your operating grant, the money that you got for the operating grant, you didn't account for those padding?
No, we bought them out of revenue because we felt they were critical safety items.
Right, and I appreciate that, as that's massively important. And so how much were the paddings?
It's just under $30,000.
Okay, so do you feel you're going to need that money later on for operating?
Well, I hope to make enough that I won't, but I guess we'll see how the rest of ski season goes. It's been awfully cold.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. And second of all, I guess going back to the washrooms, was it your understanding that RMWB was going to take that back and take care of that problem last year?
Yeah, so last summer we got a quote from a local contractor to fix it. The holding tank outside the building is leaking, so we can't use it. So we put together a plan to dig that up and do remediation, and then ideally hook up to the water and sewer lift station that we have outside of staff housing. It's only a couple 100 feet away, and then we'd be on the sewer system of Sapri like the rest of the facility is. So that was the quote we got, which was $130,000 about 9 months ago. I tried to get it included in our emergency grant ask last September, but to be fair, it wasn't an emergency and it wasn't included. It sort of went around, well, we're doing a scope assessment. The condition assessment was supposed to be last fall. I believe now it's happening in April and May. So there was some discussions whether facilities was going to do it, and then it was public works, and then maybe it was rural works. And that was sort of the last conversation that I had about it. So I assume that when the condition assessment's done, it will be included in some budget somewhere. But I'm only presenting now on operating budgets, so I don't have control over that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, colleagues, I just wonder if I can add to the motion that was made with the friendly amendment to add $130,000 to initiate the repairs on the washrooms. I'm sure Vista Ridge can get that accomplished in a much more efficient manner than the government can. So I would suggest we just take care of this now. I do think washrooms are a safety concern. We don't want individuals having a broken washroom at one of our facilities. Sorry, I'm not sure who brought the motion.
Through the chair to Councillor Scott, may I add a point? The
Yes.
current motion is to fund the RMWB's capital budget. If you add the 130,000, just for clarity, it will go into the municipality's budget. We'll be completing that project. So it won't be a grant to Vista Ridge.
Maybe a recommendation would be after this is voted on, Councillor Scott, you make a motion for that 130 for Vista Ridge after this motion is finalized.
Okay, it's a separate motion, you mean? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, normally I would accept that as a friendly amendment, but I think it's probably more appropriate as a supplemental. Yeah.
We're giving money to ourselves. Councillor Luana Boussier, question, comment, debate point?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bowman. First of all, do you have the capacity to start managing washroom remediation?
We can go to that. Another motion comes on the floor.
We're
We'll just deal with
offloading
this
work
motion
to a
first.
nonprofit,
Yeah,
without
so-
knowing what's on their plate.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said to make that a separate motion, so we'll deal with this
Okay.
first. Councillor,
I do
thanks.
have a question for you, Bernice. Did you believe that your agreement would be in place by now?
I haven't been directly involved in the operating agreement negotiations. The board is handling that and I'm running the company. So
Oh, okay.
I haven't been part of the discussions
Okay.
since December 9th in any real capacity.
Okay, and Janelle, what does this mean for Vista Ridge if they don't have an agreement financially? Are they being fronted some money to operate right now?
Through the chair to Councillor Boussier, so they do have their 2026 operating grant. They've already received those funds, or the agreement at least. My understanding in terms of the operating agreement, the opinion that we had from legal was that if both parties are still in agreement to operate on the existing terms until a new agreement is placed, that we can continue that way.
And give them all like their 75% or whatever it is that stream gets?
Yes, they've gotten the 75%.
Okay,
and,
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify, we got the Q1 funding, and the rest of the 75% is scheduled at the end of April. So we don't have the full 75% because you guys funded Q1 at the budget meetings. So we have Q1 funding with an expectation of the balance of the 75% by the end of April, which is what the grant agreement says.
So to clarify, when we went to the interim budget in December, they would have gotten Q1, but at the most recent budget meetings, the remainder of their budget was approved. I believe you have the agreement. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor. Does any of the councillor have any other comments, questions, or debate points? I'm not seeing any, and thanks for coming up, Bernice. So I'll call for a vote. And online, Councillor Marcel in favor. Thank you. That's carried unanimously, everyone. Thank you. Councillor Scott, you have a supplemental motion?
Motion, I move that $130,000 be allocated as a grant to Vista Ridge to repair the washrooms, and that happen within 90 days, and that the washroom repair be initiated according to the quote immediately.
Thank you, Councillor Scott, and thank you, Councillor Wager, for the second. Councillor Scott, would you like to speak to that motion?
Yeah, I think we've heard during the discussion, governments are not great at getting things done, and I think this council is motivated to get things done, not have endless studies and investigations. If a washroom is broken, it's going to need to be repaired, no matter how long we take to investigate it as a government. If there's a quote that exists, if the receiver of the quote, Vista Ridge, already has obtained it, and they think it's going to cure the issue, then I believe we allocate the money. It's our facility ultimately, and certainly it's one of the key facilities in this region. Let's support it and make sure that it can operate effectively.
Thanks, Councillor Scott. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Scott, I'm just looking for a friendly amendment. That quote they got was last year, and although it should be close, I would like to add in just maybe up to $150,000, and any unused money be returned back to the RMWB.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Bussier?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Two things. One, is this something you need board approval for? This is a big initiative to take on.
This was approved by our board last July.
To do it yourselves?
Yeah, we got a quote. We had a mandate to get a quote. We were prepared to fix it. We just didn't have the money. Up until now, we've managed all of our capital projects in-house. We're our own project managers for the bar renovation last year, for the $500,000 light installation project. It's our facility. We know it best. When we have the money, we just make it happen. So the board is fully in support of this. We've been in support of it. We just haven't been able to pay for it.
Okay, thank you. And then thank you. To ICO White, can you give some context as to what you're doing, how this aligns, doesn't align, upends things, whatever the case may be?
Through the mayor to the question, I'll just say that as administration, we support the motion. If we can get things done faster in a different way, that's perfect in my opinion. I would caution the 90 days. If we're talking about digging in the ground, well, the ground will be frozen until May. So that would be the only flag that I raise, and it's not anything on Councillor Scott. It's just construction, and I think the idea of getting it done as quick as possible is important, but understanding that the ground is still frozen at that time. So.
Well, I think if they have the capacity, they're going to move as fast as they can anyways within the time frame then. Okay, thank you, Elliot.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Boussier. Councillor, have any other questions, comments, or debate points? I'm not seeing any. I'm going to support the motion on the basis that, as Councillor Scott mentioned, we can do it. The ICO is supportive, administration supportive, and Bernice, you answered every question I could think of just presenting, and you've been doing a phenomenal job out there. And I know you have enough snow, so if you get temperature to agree, we'd be all set. With that, I will call for a vote. Councillor Marcel online. In favor, thank you, sir. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Bernice. Thanks, Chanel. Next, we have a report on the addition to Abraham's Land Road Infrastructure. I'd like to invite Project Delivery, Facility Services, and current ICAO White to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Elliot White, and I'm here representing administration. I'm here to present a proposed partnership request that we have on behalf of the Conseillère Scolaire Centre du Nord, which is respect to the Cole Boreal Francophone School Board. Currently, the school board is working with the province to replace their school in Abbotsford Heights. This project is managed and being constructed by the province. In June 2025, the school board submitted a letter to administration to request a consideration of potential involvement in the relocation of the school from Abbotsford Heights to a new location in Abrams Land. This relocation request was contingent on the following. The municipality would provide financial support and assume responsibility for project cost differentials between the two sites. The municipality would provide a soccer field at the Abrams site that is paid for by the municipality, and a joint agreement to provide adequate playground equipment at the Abrams land site constructed by the rmwb. The relocation impacts would require the municipality to pay for the following. So additional design costs associated with shifting the location of the school. This is originally estimated at $1.3 million. Cost escalation associated with schedule disruptions. It was assumed to be about 2% or estimated $1 million. Construction of a soccer field estimated at $0.7 million, and construction of the playground estimated at $0.6 million. We also had $1 million estimated for construction of additional road modifications in Abrams Land. So administration provided a high-level overview of the prospective costs in July of 2025 and shared it with Mayor and Council at the time to assist with the understanding of all the financial risks associated with the potential decision. At the time, there was 3 motions passed, 2 of which were related to funding, and I'll explain what they are now. One, that a maximum $2.3 million from emerging issues reserve be allocated for a funding agreement for the Alberta Infrastructure's Ecole Boreal K-12 replacement school from Abbotsford Heights to Abrams Land, with the municipality not assuming responsibility for any unknown risks associated with additional construction costs, tariffs, and or loss of federal funding, federal grant funding. And 2, that administration be directed to bring forward capital budget requests in future years, estimated at $2.3 million, for a new new soccer field, a new playground, and any road improvements necessary to accommodate the relocation of the school from Abrams. Sorry, I'll read that proper. Relocation of the Ecole Boreal K-12 replacement school from Abrams Heights to Abbotsford Heights to Abrams Land. So I just want to take a pause here. So we had two motions, and what we did is we had $2.3 million that was from Emerging Issues Reserve. That's an operational cost. That was essentially to pay for any of the costs that the province would incur from moving the site, additional engineering costs, geotechnical costs, things of that nature. There was also $2.3 million approved that came from the capital budget, and that was for the field, the playground, and road improvements. So in total, there was $4.6 million approved, divided into one from operational, one from capital. So administration is here tonight to make a slight adjustment to the way the finances are allocated. Administration is not here tonight seeking additional overall funding. As we are in current negotiations with the province and without a final design for the school yet in place, administration is requesting flexibility with the funding already approved. So what we're asking for here tonight is that we have the ability to move funds in between operational capital. So for example, if we negotiate with the province for a lower value than 2.3, some of that funding can be used for the capital. And I'll explain why in a minute why we need that capital. So when we started this, I suppose, venture with the province in doing the school design, we originally planned to have traffic enter the site and exit the site in one location, and that was on the same road as the Northside Twin Arena. During the design process, you have to do a traffic impact assessment, and during that time, what they found is that there's a place of worship nearby, and that place of worship has heavy traffic loads Friday afternoons. And so what we realized is that the place of worship and the school was going to exit at the same time, between around 3 o'clock. So what the province is now asking is they're asking for flexibility with how the road network works up in that area. If this organization, if municipality decides to put more funding towards capital, we're able to build an additional section of road in Abrams Landing. That will allow flexibility for the school design and actually have egress egress onto the property, egress off the property in a different manner. So I think I'm going to ask for that to be brought up on the screen. So we do have $1 million set aside for traffic considerations. And what has happened is the province come back and has come back with a lower number for their costs. So what I'd like to do is use the differential, put it towards capital, and build that extra road. So we'll just wait for that slide to come up. It's coming up through Teams. Okay, we have it on the back screen there if anybody can turn their necks. Oh, we got it on both. So the red section is the new school location. We show the I guess purple for the Northside Twin Arena. And we have the overall existing Abrams area, and we have the Fort McMurray Islamic Center, and that's the place of worship we spoke of. So when you come off at Thickwood Boulevard onto Abrams Drive, you will take Abrams Place, and you will travel down to the Northside Twin Arena, and you will also go down to the Fort McMurray Islamic Center. So you'll be able to enter onto the school grounds in the same manner as you would the Northside Twin Arena. So what we're trying to do is open up flexibility for traffic movements for the school. And what we want to do is we want to build that blue line. What's important here, and frankly for me it's quite exciting, is that this is one of the first roads that the municipality would build in quite some time, probably about over a decade. So this new road is important for us because not only does it help the school, but it also helps with the expansion of the community. So if you see on the green side, or the green area, that's an area that could be used in the future for future expansion of the community. So I'm not sure what that plan is, but that road will be able to support that growth. And so it's a mutual benefit for the municipality, the community, and also the school. So that's sort of the idea here. So basically, in summary, We have two motions in front of us, and we're looking for flexibility to transfer some money from the operational funding that's already approved into the capital to allow us to build that road, simply because the province was able to come back with a lower number than expected. So I'll read out the two motions that we're going to share with you tonight. So the first one is that administration be authorized to have flexibility to reallocate as required a portion of the 2.3 million funding approved for the agreement with Alberta Infrastructure to the capital budget to ensure the construction of the appropriate transportation infrastructure in Abrams land to support the development of the new school and future growth of the area. Second motion, that administration report back after the funding agreement is executed to reconcile the operational and capital budget allocations. So those two motions, what will happen now is we'll finalize our negotiations with the province. We'll set that cost. What we will also do is come back with our reconciliation of our operational or capital budgets, and then we will be able to provide more update on the actual road that we plan on building. The traffic impact assessment is not complete, so we're also going to be potentially looking at other efficiencies we find in the area for traffic. So if we want to talk about that as well, if I get the map back up. Behind us, okay. So one of the other things I just wanted to mention is that originally we talked about $1 million for traffic considerations. When you look at Abrams Drive, and those of you who've driven up there to drop off your recycling, the road just ends. And what we like to do is, and what was part of the original plan is to keep the traffic circulating through the area. So we like to build a very rough cul-de-sac at the end of that road to allow traffic and buses to kind of make some traffic movements, prevent, I don't think it's prevent, but it's to allow people to make a U-turn in the area. There's also some traffic impacts that we're going to have at the entrance to the school that we're going to have to make some small modifications for. So those are all the traffic ones that we know of right now, and once that assessment comes back, we'll know our final the final impacts and what infrastructure we need. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot. Definitely appreciate the looking forward on how this is going to work for the traffic flow through Abrahams. And I appreciate actually that cul-de-sac at the end. I think that would definitely help the Temple as well as Daystar, especially on transit buses. My question is, as you alluded to, the increased traffic from the school being at the end of the day around 3 o'clock, as well as the Merkaz Ol Islam being a busy time of day, is the traffic at the intersection of Dickens Drive and Abrahams. Is that in any way going to be looked into as well?
Through the mayor to the mayor. As part of the traffic impact assessment, we'll be looking at that as well. I know there's history with the place of worship coming to council discussing traffic, so it'll definitely be looked at to see if there's any changes necessary.
Yes, because I believe Keith's team did do a traffic assessment there, and it was good now, but adding a school and an arena, that may change. So
yeah,
I hope that's looked into as well.
Sure, it'll be definitely looked into. See the statement on the twin arena. The idea with the twin arena, and speaking with the folks that plan to run it, typically their programming won't start till after school. Yeah. So that's not going to be a high demand at 3 o'clock. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Councilor Bussier.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I don't know if it was a slip when you were presenting, but you threw out the word vice versa at one point, I think. So you only mean transferring from operating to capital, not capital to operating, correct?
We would be needing less operating funding and more capital funding.
So none from capital over
Correct.
to operating?
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councilor Bussier. Councilor Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for bringing this forward. When this first came up, I was sitting over there instead of here, and I remember part of the issue was the school having a one-way in, one-way out as an exit problem for safety reasons in Abyssinian, correct? Was one of the reasons that was brought up?
Through the chair of the question, I think there was conversation around Abasan in general, having sort of one way in, one way out. Understanding though that we do have sort of a emergency egress from Abasan, but there was no conversation, I don't believe, from administration themselves. I think it was public.
So other than Abrams Drive, is there any other way back onto Confed? Is there any other way to loop back, another exit or entrance?
Through the chair of the question, no, there would be just one exit to Confed or Thickwood Boulevard, depending how you.
Okay, and then the plan for this school's footprint, I know they had talked about, if I recall correctly, and others can correct me, but it was one way in for buses and then another way out. Did we take the exact same design and footprint of the school that was going to be in Abasan and just placed it here in Abrams? Or have we redesigned certain entrances already for the school itself?
Yeah, through the chair of the question, I just want to clarify, it's not we, it's
Sorry,
them.
yes,
Yeah,
not
just want
we,
to
but
confirm
yes.
that, yeah. The school itself is more of a, from the design perspective, a pick up and play. It's same sort of layout and everything else. There might be some slight modifications. The school campus, if I can call it that, that's what's being changed the most.
Yeah, because it was going to be like, they were going to have a field there, it was going to take up more green space. I remember the whole issue as best as I can recall.
Sure.
But if I recall, that was one of the issues as well, was the entrance for vehicles and buses and the bus route that they were going to have. I'm wondering if that has changed at all to accommodate for these roads?
So to the question, the design isn't complete. It's in sketch form, so very, very preliminary. So what it is that if they can get the flexibility of this extra road, then they have the time, or I suppose not the time, but the opportunity to look at all options and what's best for safety of the kids and safety of traffic, and look at the best way to manage traffic on that site.
And then, again, I'll bring it back to my first point, though, about the safety of kids in the area. That was one of the concerns with Abasan as a whole. Just looking at this map, it looks pretty similar. It's one way in, one way out. It's one road. Do we have an emergency egress point? I'm not familiar. Is there one that connects to the other dump that's by the large cell tower there behind the Islamic Center? Or is there another way out onto Confed or Thickwood Boulevard?
To the question, no, there's no, at this current time, there's only one road in and out of Abrams.
So duplication of a problem we were seeing before, just in a different area. Something that's going to have to be addressed in the future, I feel personally. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Brown. Is there any other questions from council? Do we have any delegates to this item?
There are no registered delegates, thank you.
Can I have someone make the motion? Councilor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that administration be authorized to have flexibility to reallocate as required a portion of the $2.3 million funding approved for the agreement with Alberta Infrastructure to the capital budget to enable the construction of appropriate transportation infrastructure in Abrams land to support the development of the new school and future growth of the area, and that administration will report back after the funding agreement is executed to reconcile the operational and capital budget allocations.
Thanks, Councilor Weigel, and thanks to Councilor Luana for the second. Does council have any other questions, comments, or debate points? I'm not seeing any, so I'll call for a vote. Councilor Marcel, in favor, thank you. Thank you, Elliot. That's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Next, we have the report on audiovisual equipment for Malway Community Hall in Fort Chippewa. I'd like to invite Corporate Services to introduce the report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Lori Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer. With me is Carrie McNeil, Manager of Infrastructure Services within our IT branch. During the capital budget deliberations on February 9th, administration was directed to assess the audiovisual requirements at Malway Hall in Fort Chippewa. The team conducted a review of the requirements, which are detailed in the needs assessment provided in Attachment 1 of Council's agenda package. The needs assessment confirms that the Mamway Community Hall requires an AV solution that is safe, reliable, and appropriately scaled for a large, bright, and acoustically complex community space. The current portable system, originally selected with portability in mind, cannot meet the hall's functional requirements, delivering inconsistent audio and visual performance, frequent operational disruptions, and ongoing safety and durability concerns. Attachment number 2 within Council's agenda package provides the details of 3 options. The solution options identified outline a range of AV system configurations developed to address the needs identified in the needs assessment. Option number 1, the rmwb standardized AV platform. This option delivers a comprehensive, fully integrated AV system designed to support town halls, community meetings, funerals, movie nights, and other community gatherings. The solution combines full room visual display, program audio, wireless microphone capabilities, centralized user control, and advanced network signal distribution into a single cohesive platform. This option is estimated at $85,900. Option number 2, Essential AV Solution. This option provides a streamlined audiovisual system designed to support everyday town hall, community meetings, funerals, movie nights, and other community gatherings. It includes full room visual display, program audio, and infrastructure elements while simplifying operation through a wall-mounted control interface. This design does not incorporate microphones for voice lift, and this one is estimated at $68,580. The third option is the basic display system, which delivers a straightforward display solution centered on high-quality projector, a dedicated projection screen, and a secure precision-aligned ceiling mount. The projector provides bright, clear visuals that, when paired with an appropriately sized screen, ensures sharp image reproduction with consistent brightness and contrast throughout the viewing area. The ceiling-mounted projector is securely installed to provide stable positioning, minimize vibration, and maintain precise alignment, resulting in a clean and professional image. This option is estimated at $42,000. In closing, administration recommends option number 1, the rmwb standardized AV platform, in addition to a portable screen and a protective carrying case, and that $100,000 be transferred from the Capital Infrastructure Reserve to the IT capital budget to fund the project. This concludes our presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lori. Does council have any questions? I'll start. Maybe, I don't know if you'll know this, or maybe IR. Is there a rental fee for renting Maui Hall per hour or per day, or? Sorry? Okay, and you turn your mic on then, Ken, if you know the answers. And
it's $400 a day.
And does that include the use of the AV equipment?
We don't really have any AV equipment at this time, so the price might go up.
If you had it? Does anybody?
It would include it, yes.
We don't rent it from Kendrick, so does administration know?
It's
Through the chair
$400,
to the
including
chair.
audio visual.
Oh, sorry.
Anybody? Dennis, Lori?
Through the chair to the chair, I'm not aware of the fee structure associated with rentals.
I do. It's
Maybe,
$400.
I just want to get
including the AV.
administration, though. Thanks, Kendrick. Director Fraser?
Through the chair to the mayor, yes, that would include, the rental is, like said, $400, and then that would include the rental of the equipment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's not that I didn't believe Kendrick, I just thought administration should answer the question, not Councillor. Councillor Allen?
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, all this equipment is very familiar to me. And I know that, industry and other groups that go up there for regularly to do community consultations and whatnot typically will rent equipment and bring it up with them. Number 1 is obviously the best solution of them all. I'm just wondering, do we have anyone that operates the facility up there that's qualified to operate it? And if so, especially when you get into wireless microphones, they tend to grow legs and in community hall situations. I can't say that from experience in these rural areas, but just in any community hall, they tend to disappear. So that would be my only concern is putting something in that's so complex and technically, needs some expertise at it. You probably need to have a physical operator up there that can assist with functioning that or working that equipment for a function. Certainly gives you the most flexibility. You could certainly charge a little more for the facility with equipment like this.
Mm-hmm.
But do we have anyone, I guess, is the question.
Through the chair to the question, we did discuss that and believe the team has a solution from a training perspective.
Through the chair to the question, there are staff in Fort Chip that are part of Director Fraser's team that are very familiar with the current AV equipment that's in the hall and would operate it. The design and programming of the system will be done in such a way that it's meant to be user-friendly and very intuitive. All the equipment required that might need the occasional touch would be accessible, and we could work with that team remotely to make any changes, reboots, or anything like that. We could walk them through that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I was originally inclined to go more to a simpler solution like option 2 or 3, but the more I think about it, option 1 is the obvious long-term solution for me. So wait for my colleagues' debate.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Councillor Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe it's my disconnect, and I'm not fully grasping. Councillor Cardinal brought forward this motion asking for a mobile projector, a stand, and a screen. I'm wondering how it turned out from a mobile situation to $85,000 to $100,000 permanent install.
Mm-hmm. Through the chair to Councillor Brandt, the team did reach out to the community, and with further consultation, they obtained a lot more details, and from there they did a full review. I'll ask Carrie to speak to the details of that.
Sure. I'm just going to reference these assessments. So as part of that review, there's a lot more going on in that space than just a projector that doesn't work. The projector technically works. There's technically a stand there. There's a screen there already. The clarity issues that were mentioned previously are a result of a couple of things. One, undersized for the space. The space is, I believe, 50 by 70 feet. There's a lot of natural light coming in. There's a lot of fluorescence light coming in. The 5,000K lumen projector that's there right now is technically undersized for that space. What's happening with the existing infrastructure as well is because you need a physical cable to connect to the projector, sometimes that cable goes missing, and sometimes they'll want to reorient the room. So they're taking the projector off the stand, putting it on a table, and then propping it up with books to try to position it correctly on the screen. So that's sort of the history on the clarity issue. And also when they do that, you have to refocus it. It's a manual focus projector. So that's where the clarity issues are coming from, just the lack of brightness and then the manual focus requirement after the fact.
Okay, I can understand clarity issues and lumens. If I read this, it's 10,000 plus lumens.
Correct.
Wonderful setup, movie theater quality. But again, that wasn't the request. The request was for something portable so that it could be used for outdoor winter carnivals and things of this nature. It wasn't to be a permanent fixture within Momaway Hall. So wondering where that disconnect happened.
Through the chair to that question, in further conversations with Dennis Fraser's team, we were advised that the equipment is staying inside the hall more than 90% of the time, and that it is only used, the projector portion only, used outdoors for seasonal movie nights. That's the general use case scenario. So through more conversations with his team, Other things were identified around the audio imbalance because they're using two like stand speakers at the front of the stage that if you're sitting close to the stage, you're being blasted with sound. And if you're far back, you might not hear a speaker on a mic. And then safety issues were evident after that because of where they're placing the screen 90% of the time.
So
in the corner.
Can we come up with an option 4? If 90% of the time it's indoors, what do we need a projector for? Why can't we get 4 80-inch TVs, put them all together like a normal setup, and have that as a permanent structure or something similar to what we have on the wall here? That eliminates.
Sorry to interrupt. Go
No,
ahead.
it's just that eliminates the need for a projector altogether. And then when you do want a projector for outside, we get an outside projector. Outdoor movie nights aren't going to happen in the summertime at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm just, the disconnect just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
We're trying to put a Band-Aid solution on something that's already in place. We were told that 4 years ago this was replaced for $8,500. So once again, we're at $85,000 for a full permanent structure that isn't really portable. Why not have two options? A permanent structure that would cost, again, by my estimation, a quarter of this cost, and then an outdoor projector for the 1 to 2 nights that you'd be able to do it in the summer months.
And I'll just remind Councilor that you can, once the motions are, you can actually make whatever motion. These are recommended, but you can formulate, if one motion isn't passed, you can make whatever motion you want.
It's not even about that, Mr. Mayor. It's more about having another option. Is if we're just, hey, we have this system already, let's just improve upon the system we have. Why not give it something better? If it's not, if it doesn't require a projector that needs to be moved, and we're worried about cables being stolen or lost, let's say, then a permanent structure like this. You don't see any cables for this, right? A permanent thing with the speakers required. We were told as well that
That's upheld if it's not a question. Unless you have a question, we'll go to a question, Councilor Brandt.
the question is, again, there was a disconnect, and I just feel that there should be a potential different option, that if this is more permanent, can we have a more permanent option?
Thank you.
Through the chair, we have been advised that the current projector meets the needs for the outdoor scenario, that they're not looking for a change at that point in time.
Perfect, so we don't need
So
to
a
get an outdoor
permanent
projector.
solution is the recommended path forward. In this space, there is no space that's ideal for a wall-mounted display because of the orientation of the room. On the west side is the stage, and they often orient to that direction because of a funeral service, or they face the north wall. There's baffles on the wall, and then there's a large artistic mural that's on that north wall that would be blocked with the space. And then if you're facing east, then you're facing away from the stage. The orientation just wouldn't make sense for a permanent solution.
So we
Or
move this
wall-mounted
around so
solution.
often?
Pardon?
Is that the issue? It needs to be portable because we,
No, not
pick-
portable.
then where's it being projected on? If we're moving it all the time, if it's only for one area, that's what I'm not understanding
okay.
here.
Okay. So the recommendation is a ceiling-mounted projection screen that would be motorized, and then through a control panel, you press a button, the screen comes down, and it would be like at the stage level.
So that screen is permanent where it is?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing applies. I know someone that has a similar setup to
Yep.
this, that's in a garage,
Yep.
and it goes up,
Yep.
and then it comes down.
Correct.
Do that for a permanent screen. Don't need a projector for it. All the cables are included in it. So just looking for another option, because it just seems to me this doesn't make sense as the needs.
So
And
the-
none of them work for what I'm saying.
But the projector that we're proposing would be mounted at the ceiling, permanently focused on the screen, so you're not worrying about changes in image quality.
Yep.
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 Perhaps I'm not understanding the question then.
No problem.
Okay.
My question is, I feel that if this is a permanent solution and it is a permanently mounted projector, then why not just have a permanently mounted screen? Not a projector, an actual television screen or multiple on a frame that can come down and pivot up and down.
A television that descends?
Absolutely. It doesn't need to come up and down. It can fold.
Yeah, I suppose. We haven't looked at that option.
Also, way cheaper than this. So, in my opinion.
Yeah, we could definitely look at that, but for a commercial grade in that size, we'd have to go back and crunch some numbers for sure.
No problem. My other question was, what model did we settle on for, option 3, 18,900? What's the model on this projector?
So the model would be competitively sourced based on certain specifications that we would provide, but for this particular estimate, it was an Epson EBPU 2010W, and then the lens is an Epson ELP LM10 or 11, depending on the distance between the mount and the screen itself.
And we would, okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Brandt. Councilor Luana?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Can you explain to me the difference in the level of complexity of 1, 2, 3 in terms of, like, these two have to help me pull stuff off on my screen. So I'm going up to chip. I'm trying to operate level 1, 2, 3. What's the differences in intelligence that I need from 1 to 3?
So option 1, full meal deal, right? We're talking about a motorized display, a permanent projector mount, would have distributed audio throughout the ceiling, so there'd be speakers suspended in the ceiling. There'd be wireless microphones, and it would all be integrated with a touch panel. So when I walk into the room as an operator, there's a touch panel, I would say power on. And then within that touch panel, if there are specific types of events that require preset equalization for audio and video, we could say, like, there's a movie night preset, or there's or a town hall preset, that type of thing that would automatically default. So there's no mixing, because right now they do have a manual mixer that they could adjust, but all the mixing would happen automatically, and then everything powers on automatically, and we just connect their computer to the input and start their meeting or start their presentation.
Okay, so option 3.
Sorry, yeah, so that's option 3. Option 2 is the same thing, except there's no wireless presentation device. You're still going to rely on a hardwired connection that we could create, like a wall mount plug-in, similar to your ports on your desk at a defined location. There's no voice lift, so we could do program audio in this option, but you're still relying on those stand speakers for voice lift. So when you want to talk to a crowd, you're still going to come out through different speakers. Just looking at the other differences here. This one doesn't have devices, encoders and decoders to convert the audio and video signals. So you'd have limited mixing capabilities for your audio. Like, you can adjust volume, but not necessarily.
I'm sorry. I'm nodding at you like I understand anything you're saying. I don't. I'm going to rephrase this. My apologies. Yeah. From option 1 to option 3, what's the learning curve of technical skills between operating option 1 and 3?
I think option 1 is probably the least complicated one to operate, because you have one central control system, where with options 2 and 3, you're still relying on portions of the old system to make it work.
Option 1 being the cheapest is what, or you're saying option 1 is?
The most expensive one.
The most expensive, okay. My worry, and I don't know where this fits, but we overbuild and we overcomplicate things. And so I'm thinking of just the general Fort Chip resident that's having a wake, and the relative is going in and wants to set up. We don't want a complicated system for people. The community needs to be able to use it. So I'm confused about when my phone upgrades. So I just don't want an overly complex system. So I need to know that that's not what is being presented. And then the second thing, I am wondering why in this budget there's $8,000 for labor charges. Like, do we not have staff that we already paid to do this stuff?
For the supply and installation of the equipment is usually tendered together. There is an element that's also required for electrical infrastructure. We've worked with Dennis Frazier's team as well to estimate that cost, and that might be done internally with internal electricians, or it could be contracted out. We'd have to plan that accordingly, but yes, potentially some of it could be done internally.
Yeah, so I would like to plan that accordingly when I vote and remove that money for labor, 6,000 or whatever. I don't understand why we would spend money unnecessarily when we pay staff and have all these services. So that would be part of my,
Yeah, you could
can I
ask
hear
for an
from
amendment.
Dennis?
You could ask for an amendment when that motion's on floor,
Okay.
Councillor. And you need a question from Dennis?
From Director Fraser. Did you have conversations with the community, and do you understand this in terms of putting in a really complex system that is going to become not very user-friendly,
Through the chair.
potentially?
Through the chair to the question, it would require some balance in the sense for usability, and then the quality of the mechanism we're going to have there. Because what's there right now is substandard. And the memory hall is used for a lot of functions, different functions. It's not just funerals. It's the hub of the community, really. And, you know, going back to the last 2 seasons for Stanley Cup, there was watch parties there. And I was there for 1 or 2 of them. And the graphics were very poor. And it just wasn't a very good system. So it does require an upgrade like we have in a lot of other areas. And so as far as sometimes some of these systems that were just explained, the more complicated ones are the ones that are probably the easiest to run.
Okay.
To operate.
Yeah. Probably for everybody but me, so fair enough. Yeah, I just want to make sure there's capacity up there and we're not spending on a system that sits there and nobody knows how to use it. So thank you very much.
The ICO wants to also address that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll repeat kind of what he said. I was going to say the same thing. And I'm no expert in audio visual, and I have problems with my phone too. It tends to be that the simpler systems cost the most. I don't know why that is. Our systems here that we use are quite expensive, but at the same time they're quite easy to use. So I think there's a inverse relationship there of some sort. I also want to address the $8,000 as well. We have to be very, very careful with that. I believe it was 8, 6. Okay. You know, we have to be careful removing that or adjusting that. Because typically a lot of the suppliers that put these in, the warranty is tied to that. And it's typically the supplier that puts them in, and therefore the warranty is maintained. And also they do training as well. So they offer the opportunity to train, say Dennis's group, for example. So just I just want to be careful with that 6,000.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yep. Thanks, Councillor Roussier, and thanks, ICO Elliott. Councillor Allen?
Thank you. And Elliot, you just nailed it on the head, what I was going to just comment on. I used to install these systems.
And right now, we're just in questions.
I know, no, but I was going to say, would it be reasonable to expect that that our warranty would actually be tied to that as well? I would, but there's been some discussion as well with a system like number 1. If we were to put that in, there's been discussions over doing renovations with Mamweek Hall. Mm-hmm. Would something like this be a portable, or would we be doing contemplating doing those renovations around something like this so that it would still be useful after that work's been done?
Mm-hmm. Through the chair to the question, the equipment can absolutely be repurposed. Whether the space is renovated or if there is a new building, I believe there's still a few options on the table being considered. We would work with PMO to incorporate the equipment that we're proposing to the future design. And then from a scheduling perspective, we would work with that team to do any tear down and reset up as part of a renovation or a construction project.
So the equipment that you've been putting a spec out or a scope out on, it is potentially equipment that could potentially be removed and then repurposed in another building or another location.
Absolutely.
Okay. And as well, related to the portability option, the projector that we have up there is still functional. It's still in good shape.
Through the chair to the question, yes. I've spoken with Ernest in Fort Chip, and he believes it is a scenario where there might be just a lack of education on how to manually refocus it once it's been moved. But it's technically still functional, yes.
Yeah, okay. And I see part of the option is under 4, the recommendation is to still replace the screen with a protective carrying case.
Mm-hmm.
So that would actually look after both options. Okay. No, thank you. No, I look forward to the debate.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Just as Councillor Allen mentioned, the portable carrying case, wasn't it a permanent structure that was going to be put there, permanent screen?
For the portable? Sorry, can you repeat the question?
He had mentioned a portable carrying case, but when Councillor Brandt was asking, it was going to be a permanent structure.
Okay. Through the chair to the question, the permanent solution or option 1 also includes an additional portable screen. So I think there's still
so it's 2 screens.
2 screens.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Councillor Cardinal, question?
No, I was going to go to motion. Okay, so I'll go to a question then. Is the screen going to be able to be used in other areas like the rec center and swimming pool? The screen that's there now after this one's installed?
Through the chair to the question, the current screen that's there right now is a daylight fast fold system. It's meant for portability. But in practical use, what they've found is because of the size and that particular model, the frame is a little bit inadequate, I would say, maybe perhaps a design flaw of the product. So it's a bit unstable, which is why they don't move it around too much. It pretty much stays in that corner position. The ask is to also replace that screen in case there are scenarios where within the hall they do want to change the orientation away from the stage, but it could also be used in the arena or the pool. If there's space for it. I'm not familiar with the space, forgive me.
Thanks. So in option 1, it requires a permanent structure for the projector, but also it states in there that they want the screen to come down at the same, but this is on the stage. So for people that don't know the community hall, and there's no actual photos provided for us, that where this screen is going to be going, there's about 10 windows behind it. So then you can't really have a permanent TV or anything added there, because then it would just be in the way of the windows. So what happens is this screen's going to go up, and then you're going to be able to see the light in the windows, and the only windows in the whole place. And then the screen will come back down. The projector will project obviously the lumens to the screen, and that's just how it operates. But obviously, you've got some feedback from the community, and do you believe that having this projector and screen will enhance visibility and community involvement and community sense of happiness? Yeah. I don't know.
Through the chair to the question, I do think it'll be a major improvement to this space, absolutely. Yeah, yes, to the question.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. So again, there's one permanent screen, one portable screen, and you just said they're replacing the other screen, or is that the second portable?
Through the chair to the question, the additional portable screen would replace the current portable screen that has that frame that's...
So we're still down to 2?
Correct.
Okay, there's not 3.
There's not 3.
Okay. Councillor Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. With Councillor Allen's questions, you mentioned that the projector up there is currently adequate, but there might be a lack of understanding on how to manually adjust it. So are we telling me that the reason the clarity isn't good is because no one's figured out how to adjust the lens?
Through the chair to the question, no, the projector is not broken. It's insufficient for that particular use case. because of the lighting in that space. So the 5K lumens just isn't clear enough for that space or bright enough for that space. If it was taken out of there and used in other places, it will still function. That was my point.
Okay, so if it is removed, the current projector that was replaced 4 years ago for $8,500, if that is removed and used as a portable unit, it will be able to be adjusted for whatever space it goes into.
Through the chair to the question, without knowing the specific spaces it's going to go into, there is a possibility that it would also be undersized for other areas, yes. But from my understanding, in my conversations with Ernest, the two use cases scenarios are in the hall or outdoor movie nights, and they were very adamant that outdoor movie nights, it meets their needs.
How many outdoor movie nights have we had, and at what time are these happening?
Through the chair to the question, I would assume that it wouldn't be in the summer, but I would have to defer that question to Director Fraser or Councillor Cardinal.
Yeah, I'm not aware of how many movie nights they have there or what times they have them. We can find that out, though.
So my other question would be, if we're talking about rental facilities, if we're removing it from the hall, who's taking responsibility for that equipment? Who's setting it up? Who's adjusting it? And what are we charging for that?
Through the chair to the question, Director Fraser's staff are the ones that are setting it up and tearing it down. I can't answer the other questions. I can get back to you on those.
No problem. I mean, I heard earlier that it's $400 to rent Mom Away Hall, and that includes the AV equipment. So I'm curious, if we are just removing it from the hall, what are we charging for that if we're renting this equipment out? That's not really important, but again, if the idea is that this is portable, I'm not grasping it. I don't think I'm alone, but I'm not getting this. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it at that. This will be for debate, but thank you for answering my questions. Again, this isn't anything to do with you folks. I understand you've done the research. You gave me the model number. I looked it up. I get what's happening here. I'm just confused by some of it. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brandt. Councillor Cardinal?
No motion.
No, not yet.
No.
I know you're eager, but I'll go to you for the motion. I got it. Does council have any other questions? Not seeing it. Do we indulge this item?
There's no registered delegates for this item. Thank you.
Councillor Cardinal, can I make a motion?
I move that the $100,000 be added to the 2026 capital budget for the purchase of a permanent audiovisual solution and a replacement portable screen for the Momaway Community Hall be approved.
Thanks for the motion, Councillor Cardinal. Thank you for the second, Councillor Allen. Does council have any questions, comments, or debate points? Councillor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to harp on this. My points have been made. It's frustrating to see the need. I do see the need. I get it. I'm confused on where the disconnect happened from a portable to now a permanent to an entire AV system setup, and why we're just going with a projector. When in my mind, there are viable, cheaper options that are of better quality. I don't see the need for a projector here. I really don't. If people don't understand what I'm talking about, look at a high school gymnasium and look at the basketball nets. They come up, right? You mount multiple screens to that in one. It comes down when you need it. That's such a cheaper option. It doesn't require a projector. You get 4 of the screens. We have, where I work, we have a 124 inch on a rolling stand, right? But and we got that for like $3,000. So 4 screens mounted on a frame, up and down. There's your problem solved. It doesn't require this projector. It's, by my calculations, cheaper to have that, which is better quality, better lighting, adds all of it. And we've just fixated on the idea that it needs to be a projector. If the needs are there for hockey watch parties and funerals, movie nights I get, but we've got a projector for that already. I'd like to see another option come forward that makes it better quality for cheaper. It doesn't compute for me. I'm sorry, everyone, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Brandt. Councillor Allen?
Thank you. You know, I remember when this first came up, and Councillor Cardinal brought it up by, at first I thought it was just a portable request as well. And I was adamantly opposed to that because I know what happens there. I know what happens in these situations and how they disappear, how they suddenly break, the cables go missing, and it's, could be weeks before you get the appropriate equipment back in place. A permanent solution, in my mind, is the only way to go. We're putting video conferencing system in classrooms. We're putting them in hospitals everywhere now. And this is the age of technology is here. And I know that these systems today now are certainly a lot easier to operate, probably not easier to install than they used to be, but they're really getting user-friendly. And so I have no bones about supporting something like option 1. I think option 2 is likely not a bad option. If you went to other wireless solutions, you could still have wired ports where you just plug in wireless receivers. But then again, you've got something that is then being it's portable, and those pieces go missing. So you can do it right the first time, or you can keep replacing it every year, or replace components of that every year. Been there, done that. So I think either, and it really depends on what the purpose is. And I think that we have opportunity to charge a more of a premium rental for the space with equipment like that. You'll have a lot of other people, industry included, will come up and use that facility more frequently. You'll get more community consultations. You'll get more involvement with the community. So I really didn't know what I was thinking at the very beginning, whether I would support this or not. But the more I think about it, you do it right the first time, or you're just going to keep doing it over and over again. So I support going with option 1. And absolutely can't support taking $8,000 out of the budget for labor. I know in any installer, any company that is supplying equipment like this, there's absolutely no way that they would honor the warranty if you had municipal staff installing it. This is not. This is something that needs to be installed by a qualified technician. So. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I support the motion as it sits.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I also support option 1. This is a high capacity event space for the community. It needs the right equipment to be able to operate. Thank you for the presentation specifically around that. When we do our renovations to Momaway Hall, we will be able to take this out and re-put it in once we have our the updates done. And when it comes to the cost, I would much rather invest to make sure that it's meeting the needs of the community. This isn't just town halls or consultation, it's also funerals. And I want to make sure that when people are there to mourn and to gather and to honor their loved ones, that they're not freaking out over a computer that's not working because the microphone is not doing this and this isn't doing that. If we can do our part to support the community in this space, I think we should. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Councillor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. This definitely enhances the community as a whole, and like Councillor Vardy said, I think it's important to acknowledge that. And I know that there's some debate going around about this and that, and I live in the community, and I think that's why we have certain councillors that are in different wards to be able to speak for those community members. And it's obviously very clear that the community has asked for something, and I think that's what we advocate for. And the number was smaller at the first when I asked for 75,000, but now consultation has been done and a quote has been administered. So I just hope that you guys can support the community and vote in favor of this motion. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Councillor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm not opposed to having this set up. I get it. I understand its need. I don't understand why we're focused on a projector. Get something permanent. I've explained it. I can't support this the way it's written. Sure, we need it for all these events, for funerals, for community events, for community engagement. I get it. why not have something better? We focus so much on the projector aspect. I just don't see the need for the projector part. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Brandt. Does council have any other questions, comments, or debate points? I'm not seeing any. I will be supporting the motion, but I do take into account Councilor Brandt's comments that if we're going to be spending $100,000, we could get the best of the best and something permanent. But I will be supporting this motion. With that, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Marcel online. In favor, thank you, sir. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Right now, let's take a 10-minute break, and I'll see everyone back here in 15 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Janelle Fleury, Manager of Community Partnerships and Initiatives. Today, I'm presenting a recommendation to amend the committee's bylaw 17024, specific to Appendix E, the Community Identification Committee. The CIC mandate is to make recommendations on the naming of communities, subdivision, public facilities, streets, and multifamily projects, and appropriate addressing of lots, as identified in the Community Identification System Policy LDI 010. The current bylaw appoints 7 members, which includes 2 members of council, 4 public at large, and a representative of the Fort McMurray Historical Society, more recently known as the Fort McMurray Heritage Society. As the society is in the process of dissolution, this appointment dates the bylaw and poses a challenge for recruitment efforts when the term expires. The recommendation is to remove this appointment, adjusting to 5 public at-large members. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Janelle. Do we have any questions from council? Not seeing any. Do we have any delegates to this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's no delegates.
Can I have someone make the motion for the second reading? Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move that bylaw number 26/004, being a bylaw to amend the committee's bylaw number 17-/024, specific to the Community Identification Committee, Appendix E, be read a second time.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Thank you, Councillor Boussier, for the second. Is there any other debate, discussion, or comments from council? Not seeing any. I'll call for a vote. Councillor Marcel, in favor? Thank you, sir. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Can I have someone make the motion for the third reading? Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that bylaw number 26/004 be read a third and final time.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Allen, for the seconds. Council, have any debate, questions, or comments? Not seeing it, I'll call for a vote. In favor, Councillor Marcel. In favor, thank you, sir. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, Janelle. Moving on to item 8.1, Councillor's motions. I'd like to ask Councillor Brandt to please read out his motion. Councillor Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo is committed to ensuring the health, safety, and humane treatment of all domestic and companion animals within its communities, and whereas while the Responsible Pet Ownership Bylaw number 19/025 and provincial statutes like the Animal Protection Act provide a regulatory framework, there is a recognized need for a specialized body to provide guidance on policy development, public education, and standards for animal sheltering and care. And whereas a collaborative model ensures respect for the jurisdictional boundaries of the Societies Act regarding the governance of independent animal welfare organizations, therefore be it resolved that administration be directed to facilitate the creation of an Animal Welfare Advisory Council Committee to offer recommendations to Council on matters related to animal protection and welfare. That the Animal Welfare Advisory Council Committee promotes public engagement and ensures alignment between municipal bylaws and relevant provincial legislation governing animal care, protection, and welfare in Alberta. And that administration report back to Council by April 2026 with an update.
Thank you, Councillor Brandt, and thank you, Councillor Van Castium, for the second. Councillor Brandt, would you like to speak to that motion?
Just very briefly. I found a need for this in speaking with multiple different organizations on the campaign trail, individually speaking with them, and attempting to create a task force to bring all these different silos into one. I found the need. This region lacks an advisory body of this nature. We can have tons of people come, SPCA, WeBark, all these different rescues. We can have animal veterinarians and vet techs come forward and talk to us individually. It doesn't work unfortunately, when there could be so much collaboration together. I see the need for this as a step forward, not just as a permanent fix, but that's why I've brought it forward as a committee.
Thank you, Councilor Brandt. And looking at the motion, it varies a bit from your original motion. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, it was, it's been changed a couple of times, and it was more just a friendly amendment, if you will, in wording, but the intent is still there.
Thank you. Do we have any delegates to this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 registered delegates in attendance this evening.
Thank you. Katie Walker and friends. You just want to give your name for the record, and you have 5 minutes to present. And please remain seated for questions following.
Mayor and members of council, my name is Katie Walker, and I am here as the chair of the Fort McMurray SPCA. And my friend is Melanie Schneider, and she's the executive director of the SPCA. We are here in strong support of Councillor Brandt's motion to establish an Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. According to the most recent census, at least 18,000 households in the RMWB have companion animals. Pets are family members. They are part of our neighborhoods, our public spaces, and our daily lives. When animal policy works, communities are more responsible, compassionate, and effective. When it doesn't, the consequences are real for animals and for people. Our responsible pet ownership bylaw provides a framework for regulating animal ownership within the municipality, but it also has gaps. When breeding is not approached responsibly, it contributes to overpopulation, which places strain on shelters, increases surrender rates, and ultimately impacts municipal resources and public safety. And when it comes to neglect or mistreatment, we must ensure our policies remain current, proportionate, and reflective of community expectations. Across Canada, courts are increasingly recognizing accountability in cases of animal cruelty. In part, this is because public expectations around animal welfare continue to rise. Right now, there is no formal advisory body tasked with examining the extent to which our bylaw reflects current best practices in animal welfare, care standards, and sheltering, or how oversight and accountability around breeding could be strengthened. Whether municipal level consequences remain proportionate to evolving standards across Canada, or our consistency with the intent and standards of the Alberta Animal Protection Act. But this is not just about recommending changes to bylaws. It is about creating a structured forum where animal welfare advocates, frontline service providers, and community stakeholders can come together to discuss emerging animal welfare issues in the RMWB and determine how best to address them in a coordinated and efficient way. Animal welfare intersects with housing stability, emergency preparedness, access to veterinary care, mental health, and the rural realities that we face. And without coordination, well-intentioned efforts can become very fragmented. A standing advisory committee provides a practical mechanism to align approaches, share expertise, and respond to developing issues proactively. Other Alberta municipalities, including Lethbridge, have established a dedicated Animal Welfare Advisory Committee to support coordinated, evidence-based approaches to animal issues, and this motion allows the RMWB to do the same. At the SPCA, we see the consequences of policy and legislative gaps on a daily basis. We see animals surrendered as a result of irresponsible or unregulated breeding. We see preventable suffering when basic care standards are not met. And we see situations where meaningful accountability can be difficult to achieve. An Animal Welfare Advisory Committee would provide structured, informed, and practical recommendations to Council and serve as a unifying table for animal welfare in this region. Supporting this motion sends a very clear message that the RMWB is prepared to examine where improvements can be made, that we recognize the scale and significance of pet ownership in this municipality, and that humane treatment and accountability reflect core community standards. Thousands of animals live in homes across the RMWB. They cannot attend council, and they cannot advocate for stronger protections, but we can. And tonight, you have the opportunity to create a structure that ensures they are protected not only by rules, but by thoughtful oversight and coordinated leadership. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, ladies. Just one question. Thanks for the presentation. Well said. I know SPCA, you two are working lots. Everybody at the SPCA is, because I know the workload you have. You tell me all the time. Would you be willing to, when the opportunity arises, to be able to be part of a committee like this, to be able to give us your experience and your expertise?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, thanks very much, Katie. Excellent presentation, and thanks to your leadership in this community. And congratulations on the new law firm. Well done. And many thanks to the SPCA for all they do. Some folks don't understand the interaction between the municipality and the SPCA. Maybe someone from your team or yourself could address that. I think some people think this isn't a municipal responsibility, mainly because they don't understand what they're talking about, but maybe you could address that.
Yeah, to the chair, to the question. Animal welfare, from my perspective, is everyone's business. And the SPCA has no authority to enforce under our bylaw, but we need to have somebody advocating for animals who have no voice. The RMWB and SPCA are partners. RMWB provides funding to us, and we are the ones on the front lines providing care to animals on a daily basis. I think that having this committee is absolutely critical to all households that have a pet, and so that those pets can have a voice.
Thanks. And does your team want to add to that or supplement it?
We see every day some of the situations that animal control, I think Julie's here, is facing. And we need to advocate for stronger laws, stronger bylaws. And I think the only way to do it is to put like-minded people together. We also have Dr. Fielding. She is here as well. So we have a good core group. We just need a platform to make this happen.
Yeah, and well said. Thank you very much. That's it for questions.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Boussier?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Katie, you're the chair of the board?
I am.
Okay, and you're the ED? Okay. So can you tell me what has prevented you from getting this off the ground yourself? Is it a capacity issue internally?
I think it's a difference of opinions amongst a lot of the animal advocates across the community. May not agree with everything that everyone's doing. It would be great to have a group of people that's kind of under control, a committee that is put together by the municipality in which we can have a bunch of different people come together with their opinion, and everyone can be heard and felt that they can speak freely for the issues in the community.
Yeah, so I understand the intent and I certainly support it. To Councillor Scott's point about it not being municipal responsibility, I do understand this world incredibly well. And I disagree about it being the municipality's responsibility to lead it. And I'm really uncomfortable when government gets into the nonprofit sector's way, because everything takes longer and they throw up a lot of red tape. So what I'm getting at, because it sounds like I'm kind of combative now, but that's not, that wasn't my intent. What I'm getting at is often nonprofit agencies know that they would better serve their people or their animals if they were able to do the education and awareness and that piece. But it's always a capacity issue, or it's often a capacity issue and off the side of someone's desk. So what I'm asking is, do you have a position that's dedicated to education and awareness and capacity building?
No, we currently don't. And we have tried informally to put something like this together. But I think having a formal structure is what is going to be the most effective, especially when it comes to making recommendations on changes to the current legislation. I think that just having, a very informal people without any formality is just, has a possibility of wasting time that we do not have.
Correct.
And so, yeah, it's partly a capacity issue, but also partly that I think that this is the more efficient way to go about it. And we've done a lot of research in looking at how Lethbridge does it, and they have been able to make a lot of really good recommendations to their council, and which has then actually brought about change in animal welfare in Lethbridge. And so, having seen their success is one of the many reasons why we're in support of Councillor Brandt's motion.
Do you see it as a board member or a staff member that would be sitting on this committee?
Probably, it would be nice to have both. Definitely, I would be interested in sitting on it, speaking that I've been at the shelter for 9 years. I've seen all the changes throughout the community. It also would be good to have the knowledge from the board chair, especially where she is a lawyer as well.
Yeah.
That does help.
Yeah.
A lot. And I'm sure other staff would like to step forward and sit on this, but we'd like to get other people in the community that just don't work at the SPCA to also sit on it. There's lots of animal lovers.
100%. I'm more focused on your agency because you'll have your ED. For all of the reasons you don't have time to invest in education and awareness, it will take away as you sit on this committee. So what I was trying to coyly say and not raise Janelle's eyebrows over there is I would really strongly encourage you to include in your application next year a position dedicated to education and awareness so you can deal with some of these systemic issues and start working things at a macro level, because when you're providing services, that's going to be your priority, right? This stuff's always going to fall off the charts. So if it's part of your strategic vision as a board to do that kind of higher system level change, I'd really encourage you to work that into your budget. And I'm sure Janelle, you're agreeing with me, right, Janelle? It's just important, right? And I get it. It's the last thing you do when you're providing service, because how do you take away from direct service delivery? But you're here today exactly saying you need a position dedicated to that. So I wish you luck, and I hope to see it next year, and I'll certainly support it. Thanks.
And to say, just to add, we do some of it.
Yes.
Not as much as we'd like, but we are in the schools giving presentations.
Yep.
We have lots of community organizations that attend at the shelter. We do shelter tours to raise awareness about what we're doing at the SPCA and some of the issues we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. But I completely agree with you. I do wish that we could, of course, do more.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Councilor Wana. Councilor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll save my debate points for debate, but just to clarify, this is beyond an SPCA issue. So thank you for your presentation. My question for you, we recently did a census. It's the first time we talked about pet ownership. You quoted the number in your presentation. In your personal opinion, do you think that number's accurate?
No, it's not accurate.
No.
It's far
She has more
than
dogs in her
that.
house.
I myself have, I think,
bylaws
8,
here,
so-
Katie.
Yeah.
Julie's back there.
Yeah,
They're foster.
Yeah, no, I don't think that number is accurate whatsoever. I think it's much more than that. I think even if you ask around the room how many people have a pet, I'd say there would probably be most hands would be raised. So I think that's definitely underreported.
Yeah, I agree. A few other points, but I'll bring them up later. But yeah, this is just beyond cats and dogs, and it's beyond the SPCA. So thank you for all the hard work that you folks do. And I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you for presenting.
Thanks, Councillor Brandt. Councillor Allen?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation in support. As a former board member, I also can appreciate the work that that your board and the staff there do. Do you? I was going to ask originally if you. I think you answered the question. If you were aware of any other committee existing in any other municipality or jurisdiction, you said Lethbridge.
Yes, Lethbridge has one, and they have for the past couple of years. I think that they enacted it in 2022.
Yes.
As well as Edmonton and Calgary also do have similar committees as well. So they have structured advisory and stakeholder engagement frameworks, and they guide animal policy and enforcement work. So it's definitely not an unusual model. It definitely does reflect coordinated municipal governance across Alberta. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm sure if this motion passes that our administration will be likely talking to you guys as well, just to as they form the bylaw, because there would be a bylaw formed to form a committee. And do you have any recommendations as to what you would see the makeup of the committee be like?
I mean, I certainly can. I've thought about it at length. And I think, as Melanie said, is that I think it's really important that we have all the voices at the table, not just this shelter. We have other rescues in town. Really like to get the vets there because, of course, we know that access to veterinary services is a real issue. We want to have someone from rural there. Because we know that that's an ongoing issue. So it's really about having this table where all the voices are heard, everyone that's involved in animal advocacy in the community, and get all on the same page and come up with a plan of how we can address some of these really important issues that the municipality is facing.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for coming and speaking for this, and I look forward to seeing you at the next annual walk.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, you touched on it, but maybe you could speak to more about some of the issues facing this community when it comes to animals. Obviously, the numbers are absurdly low. I think Councillor Brandt and I both observed that when it came out, and I'm sure everybody in the community did. Anybody that owns an animal would think that's ridiculous. So what do you think the actual estimate is, I guess? And then why don't you speak about some of the issues that you think such a committee could address?
Well, how much time do you have? Because, I mean, myself and Melanie, we can talk at length on the issues that we see on a daily basis at the shelter, just our daily lives as well. And I touch on some of them, but obviously, from our perspective, it's really about ensuring that there's proper regulation rules around breeding, and making sure that if people are going to breed animals, it's done responsibly. There needs to be more done about spaying and neutering, and making that a requirement of animals in the region. Also, we're seeing a lot of, unfortunately, neglect situations, animal cruelty situations, but they're difficult to enforce in the criminal arena. And so I think that we can make changes there to make it easier for our enforcement agencies to actually hold people accountable when it comes to animal cruelty. And that's what you're seeing just recently out of Manitoba. The courts had handed down the strongest animal welfare sentence of like 9 years for animal cruelty, which set a precedent across Canada. And you're seeing more and more of that. And so we want to make sure that in the RMWB, we're also in line with some of these trends that we're seeing across Canada.
Yeah, and just so for your own awareness, I'm meeting with the Minister of Justice, I think, with the mayor in a few weeks. So if there's things that you want us to raise specifically about some of the laws that are inadequate, I would invite you to please consider that and let us know. And back to Councillor Luana's comment, what would such a position cost approximately, or have you considered that further? If you had an advocate going out and providing education, I think Councillor Luana made a good case for it.
Yeah, we used to have like a program, and I think she was called the community engagement manager. Due to cuts we had to make, that was one of the positions that got eliminated. That runs between $50,000 and $65,000 a year for that position, to have someone just focus mainly on education, going to the communities and talking about our programs. And it's definitely something that we can add into our grant request next year.
Sure. If the money were added right now as part of this occasion, by way of a friendly amendment, is that something you could institute and make good use of?
Absolutely. I'd love to have more hands on deck to help with
I think
this.
that would have to be another motion
Or
afterwards.
supplemental
Councillor
motion,
Scott.
yeah. Sorry, that'd be my second one tonight. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, and thanks, Melanie. Thanks, Katie. Thanks for your presentation. And Katie, say hi to Ben for me.
Thanks, will do.
You better be watching.
He better be watching. He's watching the dogs that you don't have too many of. Octo Bishop? And you know the drill, Octo. Just say your name for the record, and you have 5 minutes to present, and please remain seated for questioning, please.
Good evening, Mayor and new council. It's lovely to see so many of the faces I love in the community here. Firstly, I would love to thank Councillor Brent from the bottom of my heart for bringing this forward. My first encounter with him on the campaign trail was regarding animal care, so I've been looking forward to this motion for ages. Okay, a few months, but the amount of time I spend in that chair over there, it feels like a lot longer. I know getting people to actively participate or take interest in our local government is hard, which is strange because I find it fun. And I know committees can be time intensive when there are so many, but the community needs this, the animals need this. As a committee, a task force, a coalition, as something as anything. For the consequences of lack of proper education, advisory body, unaltered animals lead to accidental litters, and even the most careful owners, if a pet slips out, if families can't afford food or are going to the SPCA's pet food bank already, how are they supposed to accommodate the increased nutritional needs of pregnancy, let alone all the extra mouse that come with the average of half a dozen in a litter? It can lead to animals being dumped, neglected, or worse. When animals are treated like toys or gifts rather than the commitment of caring for another life, it leads to animals being dumped once they don't feel like a novelty anymore, or when care begins to feel too burdensome, especially for exotic animals. All these things wind up creating more work for animal control officers, more space taken up in shelters and rescues, more funding required to meet the care needs of the animals and the needs of the community, and more stress and feelings of burnout on advocates, volunteers, and employees just trying to do good in the world. Education and public engagement is a crucial piece of this, especially when so many long-standing myths and misinformation around pet care are so prevalent and aren't any easier to tackle nowadays. And there's so many programs and initiatives in the region that need more of a spotlight. All of us can learn more. I, for one, in researching for this, found that for the city, if you're over 60, you don't have to pay for an animal license. That could encourage a lot more seniors to be licensing their pets if they know that they don't have to worry about the burden of a fee. And I learned that SNAP, the SPCA's program, has gone past the planning stages, which is amazing news for the community. And as for personal things that occur because of this, I, for one, seem to come from a family of animal whisperers. I have more than my fair share of catching strays, helping reunite lost pets. And when we came back from evacuating voluntarily during the last fire, I found that there was a cat living under our front step eating grass in the birdseed I had left out. It quickly spiraled into realizing there was 2 cats, the neighbors naming them and becoming incredibly attached, and seeing animal control officers more often than I see my own cousins. It led to a lot of nights worrying that something was going to happen to them before anything could be done to help them, especially when it got so cold we were no longer allowed to be given traps, and a lot more nights upset that anyone could ever treat an animal in the way that they did. I'll never get to know if they're okay now because their apparent owners moved before animal control was able to properly intervene, which is no fault of their own. I still have the photos of the cats, and I scan the SPCA's Lot Pests page lost pet page on occasion, wondering if I'll ever see them, and hoping that I do. Their description never ends with deceased. Way too soon afterwards for my own emotional stability, we're now dealing with another similar situation with an animal consistently at large, displaying threatening behaviors towards neighbors, pets, and now a snow angel volunteer. It's frustrating as a member of the public to feel like there's no real way to voice concerns or shape policy in a concrete way. This advisory committee would give that chance to people through public engagement to have a voice, and if there's openness for it, through being on the committee itself. Animals cannot voice if they are being neglected. They can't advocate for themselves. It's up to us to try to give them a voice and ensure that their welfare is managed. This motion gives us this chance, and we need to take it.
Thanks, Octo, and thanks for always being so well-spoken to council and being such a fan, remembering everybody's birthday. Thank you. So you're in support of the motion, obviously, so thank you. Councillor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Octo, for your presentation. Do you believe that it would be beneficial if we had some rural participants on the committee?
Oh, absolutely. Part of my speech that I had apparently cut was, I understand that there is an Alberta coalition, but we do need something locally to cover the complexities of the municipality because of the involvement of the nations, because animal control is not allowed to go out into the nations. Having rural residents that understand what is going on and can give more of a glimpse into the situation and ways it can be handled would be amazing.
Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Does Council have any other questions? Not seeing Octo, so thank you so much. Ed? Next we have Ed Salmon. And Ed, just say your name for the record. You have 5 minutes to present, and just please remain seated for questions following, please.
Okay. My name's Ed Salmon. I'm with the Wood Buffalo Animal Rescue Committee. And to answer Councillor Cardinal's question, our focus is primarily in the rural areas, Fort Chipewyan and Janvier. Now, I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Wood Buffalo, what we call WBARC. I love the name. He said to speak on support in this motion and to bring some of our experiences that we've had in Fort Chipewyan and Janvier, and also to point out that in the rural areas, this is not just an animal welfare issue, it is a community health and welfare issue when you have a number of stray and unwanted dogs wandering communities. It is a larger community issue. Just to give you a background, we are a 100% volunteer and supported and funded by donations organization that started out as the Fort Chipewyan Pet Rescue and in 2014, and then we've expanded to call ourselves WBARC because we realize we're covering the entire community. Since our inception, we've taken in over 800 stray animals, and we've housed them. We don't have any facilities. All these stray animals are initially fostered by people in the community in their homes. And also, to add to this, since 2014, we've done some initiatives, primarily in Fort Chipewyan, that we really think would add to this. 2014, we brought a vet to Fort Chipewyan to do vaccinations, microchips, deworming, and basic health assessment. And then in 2016, we were recipients of a community investment fund, and we sent people up there to do a pet first aid certificate program. And more importantly, we had a certified dog trainer go up and teach the grades 1 to 7 how to, how to do dog safety, particular how to de-escalate in situations where we have aggressive stray dogs. These programs, combined with the bylaw officer up there they have primarily for dogs, have really worked and gotten positive results. Now our focus is in Janvier. To this end, we continue to take dogs from Janvier and support spay and neutering, and we will also provide funding so people can bring their dogs to Fort McMurray to get them spayed and neutered. We provide food and places they can stay for the dogs. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do any of the programming that we did in Fort Chipewyan because it's just been playing catch up for the past 5 years. The problem in Janvier is getting worse and worse, and we haven't been able to manage these programs. We're bringing these up to focus on the rural areas to really say that when involved with Fort Chipewyan, the entire community, the First Nations, everybody involved, you can solve these problems in the rural areas. And as the police will often say, you can't arrest your way out of a crime problem. You can't, pull dogs out of a community and put them in other houses to solve, the rural areas.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate your presentation, also your outlook and experience with the rural. Does council have any other questions? Councilor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ed, for the presentation. I attended your AGM. I'm well aware of the issues that you deal with. You've heard from a few people on this already, and we've discussed this in person a few times, but what do you see this committee being able to accomplish? And how do you see the rescues taking part in it?
The same thing that was done in Fort Chipewyan. You bring everybody to the table, and quite often it's, if you can't get funding from the city, you get volunteers to do, a lot of the funding for spay neuters and try to get them homes. And so it's a more collaboration between all parties to find a common solution. With the municipality, you do have the First Nations issue where they technically don't have jurisdiction. Dogs don't understand that. And so you really have to get buy-in from everybody that might be out of the jurisdiction of the municipality.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Brandt. And thanks, Ed. Appreciate you. Does council have any further questions or debate points? You press your button. Councilor Cardinal, you're asking for a friendly amendment?
I just wanted a friendly amendment, if that's okay with Councilor Brandt. I kind of wanted to be able to have one rural councillor from south and north. I sit on the advisory committee, if that's okay, if I can add that in there.
Yeah, I think when it comes back to council, we'll design that when it comes back, but we'll do that then. I would anticipate, Councilor Brandt.
Yeah, I don't need the friendly amendment because that's absolutely part of it. Okay. Rural needs to be engaged in this. That's
perfect. Yeah,
part of the main reason for this entire thing.
Awesome. Thanks. Councilor Brandt, do you have any closing statements?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this started out on the campaign trail when I was talking with multiple people. I've always had a love for animals, and the thing we kept hearing most about was availability for veterinarians and pet care in the region. That's how it started. What it's turned into is me discovering more and more issues across the entire region. For such a large municipality where we are so unique, and we've talked about this on so many different aspects, the fact we don't have something like this already was kind of mind-blowing to me. I absolutely see a need for it. I appreciate everyone's support in it. You've heard from some of the community members of why this is important, and this is just to get administration to come back with recommendations. I would certainly hope that we get rural engagement. I think that's one of the biggest parts of it. So I hope that you all support this motion and we get this committee formed. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Brandt, and I'll be supporting this motion. So with that, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Marcel, in favor? Thank you, sir. And that's carried unanimously. And Councillor Scott, you had a supplemental. I'm going to ask council to take a motion recess in the back so we can discuss. I'd like community services to join us to look at the implications with CIP. Sorry, Janelle, we're not letting you out of here. Okay, so we'll take a 5-minute motion recess in the back. Welcome back, everyone. Councillor Scott, you have a motion.
I do. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I move that $70,000 be allocated to the SPCA by way of amending the CIP grant for the purpose of hiring a person and meeting some administrative costs. The person shall be the community engagement coordinator, and they shall be responsible for developing and delivering humane education programs, increasing public understanding of animal welfare laws and responsible pet ownership, creating campaigns around spraying and neutering, overpopulation, cruelty reporting, and supporting media and social media messaging, and they shall track the impact, attendance, engagement, and community reach, and act as a community-facing ambassador for the SPCA and for animals generally. So moved.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Cowboy. We're just getting a motion on the floor here.
Okay.
It's good you got your mic working. It's good you got your mic working.
Sure.
Everybody likes to hear from you.
I missed the after the motion. I missed anything that was said.
Yeah, we'll get I'll get administration to actually send you that motion so you see it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scott, and thank you, Councillor Van Cassian, for, Councillor Brandt for the second. Councillor Scott would like to speak to your motion.
Yeah, I think Councillor Bussier said it best. This is a position that's needed. I think the difficulty I have is that there's no need to wait a year. Process often doesn't keep up with reality. When we have a group in front of us and there's an obvious need and there's a community need that complements us, then we should meet that need. The challenge in this community and in many municipalities in Alberta is municipalities are intimately impacted by the animals within the community. Animal control, impoundment, holding services, and dangerous dog response are just a few of the examples. Bylaw is involved in these issues and will be going forward. And the more education we do, the better for this region and the rural communities as well. So I would really encourage everyone to support a position that was previously filled, and I think we heard a statement tonight that it was needed, and I support Councillor Luana's statement that it's obviously needed, but I'm just saying let's get it done. Let's not wait around. I really believe this should be a council of action, not a council of delay and deliberation all the time. This is a time to take action.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Van Castian.
Thank you, Mayor. I do believe and agree with Councillor Scott that we do need to be council of action. We can't be held back by certain things. However, the way this motion reads, we're dictating to a nonprofit a position and how to spend money that we're giving them. I don't even think we can do that. I also believe that we're doing a little cart before the horse here. We just set up a committee for advisory, and we don't know what that's going to say yet. And we're creating positions that may not be needed, that could be affected by the committee. I can't support dictating to a nonprofit how they're going to spend this $70,000 to hire a person, and I can't support having an engagement person when we just created an engagement committee. I think we need to wait and see what comes from that.
Yeah, that's very typical of what governments do. They always find a reason to delay. You know, if we want to hear from the SPCA, they can take a seat and tell us if they need the position. Maybe I misunderstood, but I heard that that was exactly the position that was needed. And if they had the funding, that's exactly what would be done with it.
Well, I'm going to go to Katie and Melanie after council has their say first, and then you guys can address to it. Councillor Luana.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Certainly no shock that Councillor Scott and I are not on the same page on this. Being a council of action also means being responsible to the public purse, and just continually giving money away outside the scope of the process, I don't believe is responsible. We have a administration that oversees grant funding, oversees where organizations lie, looks at organizations' capacity, their strategic plan, all of those things. Well, I certainly support the SPCA. This is going to be a lot of work, and I suspect that this committee may come forward with a full scope of recommendations that might include more than one position and possibly even the WeBark might have a role to play too. And I would just remind council colleagues, it wasn't that long ago that a mayor and council started giving away grant money without any parameters and without the, and against the advice of administration. And a number of those agencies used the money inappropriately, and one of them for sure fled town with the money, and not you guys obviously, fled town with the money and owing a lot of money. I think we have some processes in place that we need to rely on. I agree with Councillor Van de Castian that this just started, and that I think we need to be cautious, let the committee work, let the SPCA decide what their participation on this committee will look like, and then come back with the recommendations. I don't think this is about not being a council of action by being responsible. And I think we can move this initiative forward and create some positive change for animal welfare through this committee by waiting a little bit and giving the SPCA some time to work strategically, look at your strategic objectives. You've been given one of these directions is to track impact. We don't even know what data collection tools you have to be able to do some of these things. So I think there's just a lot more that needs to be answered. I think we absolutely need to support you, but I think we need to do it strategically. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Wana. Councilor Brent?
Thank you, Mayor. All great points, and I understand them. This was a long time coming just to get to this committee part. I wanted to do this pretty much in my first week, so I've learned the process takes a long time. It took 4 months just to get here for us to establish.
I did tell you to go ahead and do it, to my defense.
Yeah. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying as we learn more things. So while I know that this committee would be recommending on education and those aspects, this just makes it happen faster, which I'm for. I not really wanting to wait around. I get the concern, and I understand what might have happened in the past. I don't see this as what's happened in the past. I see this as moving forward quicker. So I support the motion, and I'd like to hear from the SPCA. I mean, it is affecting them directly, so.
Yeah, once council's finished, we'll have questions for Melanie and Katie.
Thank you.
And it won't be how many animals they have in their own homes. Councilor Allen?
You know, I like to think I'm a passionate advocate for animals as well, but and I think what we heard tonight from our presenters is, it was it was something that you had in the past and you were unable to continue it on because of funding. But then we passed this other motion by Councillor Brandt to set up this committee. And I too think that maybe we're putting the cart before the horse if we just go ahead and fund something without really knowing what the parameters of that is. So I don't think it would take that long. I think it's going to take longer for us just to form a committee, quite frankly. But I would like to see what the committee came forward with. And again, maybe there's going to be more than $70,000 or more than one person. Maybe it's going to have an expanded scope. I don't know, because I'm not the expert there. We'll bring the experts forward into this committee, including yourselves. And I would, you've gone this long without that position being filled. I think it's worth just waiting a little bit more and doing it right. I said it earlier this evening. Do it right the first time, and we won't have any regrets later. So I'm afraid I can't support the motion. I'd like to see what comes forward, and I'll support anything that's productive in supporting animal welfare.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Councillor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. To Councillor Allen's points, the committee and this are two separate things. To the fact that the SPCA is their own thing, I just want them a part of the committee, but the SPCA is the ones that actually have the capacity to deal with this. Like I said, they'll speak to it, but they've already had this position in place. They cut it because of funding issues. This isn't something new. We're not creating anything that hasn't been done already. We're just allowing it to transpire quicker. And rather than wait for a committee that can also participate in education, this would be more about educating the public on what the SPCA has to offer, in my mind.
Thanks, Councillor Brandt. Councillor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm swaying to support the motion, but just when you guys speak to this, can you just talk to the impact of not having the position and what the difference is when you do speak?
Councillor, well, we want to wait until council finishes debate, then we can ask council.
Well, I didn't know we were asking questions, so I was just kind of throwing it out there before.
No, we're just debating right now, but I'm going to hold Katie and Melanie because that could be, I don't want to add them into our debate. So we ask them questions when we're finished arguing. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, just a final debate point. I always hear everybody say, you know, I really support animals, I really support issue X or Y, and then they vote against it. If you really support something, then back it up with your vote.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. I'll give my final statement before you guys can ask questions of Katie and Melanie, who are eagerly waiting to answer these questions. I agree with all of you. I think you're all right. You're all making right points. But I also like to see this advisory committee come back with suggestions, recommendations, and ideas. And they're set to come back in April with a report to council. When administration comes to that time, and then we hear what that committee says, then I would support something then. But right now, I would not support it on where we're at right now. I'd like to see a committee come back, give us something, get the administration to come back with something, hear what they have to say, and then go from there. Now, if anybody would like to ask Katie or Melanie questions, Councillor Cardin, have you a question for Katie or Melanie?
No, I just wanted to say appreciate everybody's context tonight and support of the motion and everybody's points in debate. And for the longest time as a rural councillor, I've always questioned when is the community going to be able to support some of the ongoing issues with dogs and hopefully not have another death in our community like we had in the past. And this year motion is a good motion, and I really think that at some point we don't always have to follow policy and follow procedure and all that other jargon. So I'll be supporting this motion as it is, and I hope that we can get this position going. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Cardinal. We're done debate right now. Just questions of Melanie and Katie at the moment. Then we'll have Councillor Scott's final points. Councillor Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. Melanie and Katie. Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, SPCA, animals. What up with that?
We just all love animals, and we just want to educate everyone. So we had the position for the coordinator, and we had to dissolve it due to our funding change with the municipality. We were a sustaining grant, then we moved to the CIP, which limited the amount of money we could ask for. Based on our financials, we felt we had to focus on other things like spaying and neutering our animals and feeding the animals. So we eliminated that position, but now we've done a lot of strategic changes. We're starting to see the upside of our hard work, and the position would really help because we get calls all the time. People want us in the schools. People want to do shelter tours. We just don't have the ability or the staff to be able to accommodate those requests.
So this particular position, besides what the committee's going to do, are you educating the public on what the SPCA does and its current programs, or is this, in your mind, a position that you're trying to educate the entire region on everything to do with animal welfare, or just specific to SPCA, nothing to do with this committee?
No, we work together. Like, we talk about the importance of licensing your animals in coordination with animal control. But a lot of it has to do with our own programs and the importance of spaying and neutering and what happens when you have so many unwanted litters. Trying to get into the rural communities to educate them as well. We're seeing some progress, but we definitely need someone dedicated to go out to those rural communities, build those relationships to be able to talk to them. They need to build trust in order to, like, I went to a town hall in Janvier and built some really great relationships down there. I don't have the ability to do all of that, plus also run the shelter. So having that extra body would definitely take the workload off of myself and get us more into the community.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to this council about the guy behind the guy behind the guy for other reasons. That's what you guys are, for animal welfare.
Yeah.
When you've engaged in these things already, you as the executive director having to go all the way to Janvier, who, from my understanding, is on board with programs like this.
Absolutely.
Or at least coming around to it where they might not have been in the past. That education aspect is what got them to that point, right?
Yeah,
So
building the relationships and the headway and constant communication has really helped us build, especially in Janvier. They're on board with a lot of our programs. They call me all the time. They're actually purchasing food now to supply to their community members down there, which is a huge step.
That's massive. So if I understand correctly from when we did budget, it's 2 weeks to put forward this, 2 weeks for that. It's about a month until you actually get the money. Just from your own estimate, because I'm sure you've thought of this, how quickly is it going to take you to hire somebody?
Oh, a week or two, as long as the right candidate comes forward.
So we're rounding the end of February. If you get the money at the end of March, you're going to have someone right away before this committee's even formed. And the committee, again, not main purpose of education, just part of it. That's going to speed things up. You'd have this up and running and going and informing the community much faster?
Absolutely.
Wonderful to hear. Is there anything else that I'm missing here that maybe you could educate me on right now?
Well, I would just like to provide an example. We did go up to Fort Chipewyan to provide a wellness clinic to the people, but due to a lack of knowledge, of communication, awareness of us going there, it didn't have a good turnout because we didn't have the person there that could be that liaison to ensure that it was a successful clinic. It's super important that we have somebody in that role that can really push out. You know, we offer the SNAP program, the Mom/Litter program. That's one that a lot of people don't know about, and it does amazing things. And for those of you that don't know, it's when you have a pregnant mom, and you have the ability to bring the mom to shelter. Once the mom gives birth, we fix the mom, we fix the babies, then we return the mom back to its owner, and we adopt out the puppies and kittens and make sure that they're all fixed and vaccinated. But the problem is there's just not the awareness of some of our programs. Pet Food Bank is another one where we offer people that can't afford their cats and dogs to buy dog food and cat food. You can sign up to the shelter and we will give you free food. But we don't have the ability. We're too busy on the ground making sure that all these, every day, more dogs, more cats, more litters are coming in, and our focus has to be on their care, their direct care. We don't have right now that person that can go out and say, put it out to the community what we have to offer. And then going in, like Mel said, going into the schools and teaching the young people that, like, how to properly treat animals. And I think it starts when you're young. You learn, like, the proper way to handle kittens and puppies, because we do see that a lot too. We see animals return because, you know, because of issues with children or what have you, and we see all the time animals coming in that were not properly treated. So we're seeing all these things. We want to do something about it. We want to address the issue. But unfortunately, right now, our financial resources have to go towards the spaying and neutering, their food, their day-to-day care. And even though I know that we've seen what getting people aware of what we do and animal welfare and getting them engaged in animal welfare, the positive effect that it has on the entire community.
So I'm trying to envision this and help me along with this. Let's say Fort Chipewyan was going to have a spay and neuter clinic put on, right? And you've got a $300,000 trailer, and a vet has signed up, and vet techs have signed up to assist, and they're taking this trailer up there to go and do this. If you had an education person that coordinated this and had informed the entire community months in advance, weeks in advance, all these people would be prepared for this to happen, and it wouldn't feel like a waste of time and money.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a wonderful position. I can't see why anybody would be against that.
No, absolutely. And that's exactly what we need. And then somebody that can say, you know, this is how many people attended. This is how many puppies we've seen. This is how many kittens we've seen. And any other issues that come up to ensure that it's the most effective use of everyone's money, time, resources, etc.
That would be the tracking impact of attendance, engagement, and community reach.
That's that part of it.
Perfect. Yeah, this makes perfect sense to me. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thanks,
Is there anything else
Councilor
I forgot?
I don't think so.
Councilor Cardinal,
What's that?
you have a question?
We're beating this to death. Let's get the vote.
Councilor Scott, you have a question?
Yeah, just one quick one. Councillor Van Kasten was concerned that I was imposing on you and telling you how to spend it, but I just want to confirm, this is your request. This is what you want, correct? And the position is exactly as I described your previous position. Maybe you could elaborate on that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it would be wonderful. We didn't want to cut the position. It was one of those hard decisions we had to make. Our number one priority is always going to be feeding puppies and kitties and making sure that their care is number one. But the animal welfare piece is so much bigger because maybe we will have less puppies and kitties to feed if people had the knowledge and the understanding of animal welfare. And so I think that it's unfortunate we had to do. If we had that back, I'd really like to see the stats and tracking the statistics that once that position is reinstated, if it does have an impact on having less animals come into the shelter, which I think very well it could.
Thanks, Councillor Scott. Councillor Bussier.
Thank you, Mayor Scott.
Up here, Bowman again.
Oh, I did it again. Yep.
Yeah.
Mayor Bowman, sorry. That's
It's okay.
okay. You call me
I
Luana,
will.
so whatever.
We've been having a good day. I'll let it go.
In your strategic plan, do you have a strategic objective regarding education and awareness?
We do.
Yeah.
So,
Just reviewed it.
sorry?
We just reviewed our strategic plan last
So
week.
what was the plan that you had, like, to address education and awareness?
Yeah, so obviously it wasn't to include a position because of the funding issue, but it was to still be able to, we were talking about things like doing polls, like polls on social media, trying to get a sense from the community what they need, what they want, what they see on our social media, maybe putting out kind of did you knows, doing it that way which is a cheaper way to get awareness out, but using our social media platform, we have a lot of followers, to try to promote these issues that we see, but in a less expensive way. And so that's part of it, is a real plan, a social media campaign, essentially, to try to promote awareness and knowledge that way.
So my understanding, because Councillor Brandt has certainly talked a lot about this from during the campaign and since being elected, and what I understood his motion to be was about creating really a group that came together to deal with really high-level systems change, working with the chiefs on reserve to deal with, I understand, quite extreme problems out there, and doing those kind of things. So when I spoke earlier about education and awareness and doing some really macro level work and systems level change, what I was referencing was somebody from your organization and or your board working at that high level to really get at the root of problems. People know about the ASH program, they know about 9 Lives. You guys are so well known that you have a capacity problem with you needed bleach in the pet food bank. And so when I talk about that, and what I was referencing was not what Councillor Scott was bringing forward, but really that commitment to making a change with some kind of allied partners that are really going to be able to affect this issue, animal welfare issue across the region. And that's what I mean about your strategic plan. And so I'm not going to support this because I think there needs to be some time and energy put into this. I also think every organization could come and sit there and every one of us would say, yep, we need a position. Nobody's turning down money. So I will be supporting you down the road. I fully anticipate this committee coming back with some fairly bold recommendations and a healthy dollar amount behind it. And I will support that, but I just won't be supporting this. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Luana. Do you have any other questions for I guess not the presenters, for the SPCA representatives? I'm not seeing you, so thanks, Katie. Thanks, Melanie.
Thank you.
So that will call for a vote. Councillor Marcel online, in favor or against?
Against, for now.
Thank you. Everybody voted? And that's defeated 5-5 with a tie vote. Moving on to item 8.2, Councilors' motions. I'll ask Councilor Vardy to read out a motion. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. If there are no objections, I do have a minor edit to my motion. The last sentence, I'd like to amend it from 60 days to 90 days.
If no one has objections, you can go ahead and read it, please.
Thank you. Seeing no objections, I'll read my motion. Whereas a recruitment strategy is similar across all municipal departments, that administration, in collaboration with the regional emergency services, develop a recruitment strategy specific to regional emergency services and report back within 90 days.
Thanks, Councilor Vardy, and thank you for the second, Councilor Cardinal. Councilor Vardy, would you like to speak to that motion, please?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Today, I bring forward a motion focused on long-term sustainability, proactive planning, addressing vacancies, addressing overtime, and protecting the level of services our residents expect and deserve from our regional emergency services. Alberta's labor market for firefighter paramedics is becoming increasingly competitive, and those pressures are amplified here in Fort McMurray with Buffalo. As a remote, industrial, and wildfire-prone region, we require highly trained, dual-qualified professionals at the same time that talent pool has been shrinking. Historically, recruitment efforts have been largely reactive, responding to immediate vacancies rather than being guided by comprehensive, long-term strategy. That approach is no longer sustainable given the realities that we're facing. Across Alberta, paramedic education requirements have expanded in both length and depth to reflect the growing complexities of emergency medicine. Programs are becoming more rigorous, clinical expectations have become higher, and training timelines have become longer. As a result, the pipeline for newly qualified dual paramedic firefighters will take more time to complete and may produce fewer graduates at any given time. This will affect every municipality, including ours, and we will be competing for the same limited pool of professionals. Regional services have taken some proactive steps already. They've expanded their cadet program, they've strengthened partnerships with Keano College, they've collaborated with Careers Next Gen, they've engaged our rural fire departments, and have explored broader provincial recruitment markets. I'd like to thank Rob, Kelly, Evan, and the union for the good work on this. My motion is not about duplication. It's about recognizing that RES operates in a unique environment with distinct operational pressures. We need to develop a strategy that attracts, develops, and retains our talent effectively. I look forward to council support, and I welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Vardy. Do we have any delegates to this item? We have Keith Black joining us online. Keith, just want to say your name for the record. You have 5 minutes to present, and just stay online for some questions, please.
Well, thanks, Mayor and Council, for taking this time to listen to our concerns there. My name is Keith Black. I am the Fire Chief of Jonby Fire Department, and next to me, my recruiter, my other partner there is Chris Buchert. He is the Deputy Chief of Jonby Fire Department. The reason why we are here, sitting here with you guys, it's regards recruitment for our pay increase, sensitive benefits, and retentions. And if any full-time staff and firefighters, medicals, also MFR medical response, first aid levels, and some GPS mapping of our community in Jonby. Because the reason for all that, when we do get calls, we used to get calls to medicals. Now all of a sudden that's been stopped. That's been on a hold. We've sent out some emails, but we've never got a response. And so without going that forward, I'll take over this.
So with our medical first response, most of us have, or I'd say all of us have, a basic first aid level. We do have the equipment. A lot of times we're getting calls directly. We're not getting calls through dispatch. We just had a death 2 days ago. They were literally 20 seconds from the fire hall where we could have probably got an AED over there. We got dispatched to the airstrip, and that was, you know, to sit there and wait for the hero and half an hour or so before, you know, a hero usually gets in. Usually we're an hour and a half, especially in the wintertime before we get an ambulance out here. We're the ones that live in this community. We're the ones that have to look these people in the face when there is a death, when there is an overdose. You know, I think that we need to do something where we are being dispatched out to a lot of these calls. You know, even if it's just to, you know, keep somebody alive until medics come. It's not like we're doing intrusions on skin, anything like that, where you're doing a basic first aid to keep somebody alive until medical services can arrive. That's a major thing in this community. There is a lot of substance abuse in this community. You know, it's you know, it's terrible. We need to look these people in the face, and a lot of them look at us as, you know, you could have done something. And, you know, there's no explanation to them that, well, we weren't dispatched out to these calls. So I don't know how we can get about that, but we do have, you know, a basic first aid, you know, MFR level. We do have the equipment. We have trauma bags. We have airway kits. We have oxygen, AEDs, you know, simple things, Narcan, you know, that can make a huge difference. On another topic, so we need mapping in this community. There's a lot of new developments put up in Janvier, and we've had a lot of houses burned down that are no longer there. And by a lot, I would say 30 or 40 houses that I can count in the time I've been on the department for such a small community. Keith and myself, we are absolutely overwhelmed come wildfire season. We are basically from, I would say, April till October to where, like, we barely even see our families. We need a little better of an incentive to get more people in. Nobody's going to come in, you know, like we've talked to a lot of people, and to them, you know, I know it is a paid on call department, stuff like that, but, you know, people look at it as there's really not a lot of incentive to keep people here. When this department did start out, we had about 13 members. Most of them have disbanded or dropped into substance abuse.
We're just at 5 minutes there, gentlemen, so some questions can be, maybe you can answer some stuff to the questions. My question is, are you in support of Councillor Vardy's motion?
Yes.
Thank you. And if councilors could direct questions related to the motion, Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Mercy Cho, Keith and Chris, and I'm sorry for the passing in the community. It's been a hard week. My question is, if you can just continue what you were saying about you don't have a lot of people who are willing to be a part of the fire team. How can we better support getting people trained and recruited up in the role, in your opinions?
Well, we have some incredible trainers that come out. It is basically, I think some of it has to do financially. Some of it has to do, there's not a lot of benefits to this job. You know, such as myself, I'm not treaty from here. You know, I put myself in harm's way. I pay for all my medications, you know, like later on in life, you know, the carcinogens, everything else. I'm pretty sure at one point will be catching up to me. We do an incredible amount of calls. I believe at one point we were doing the most calls of any rural department out of Sapri Creek, Fort Chip, Fort McKay, and Anzac. And right now we are also looking after Conklin Zone. So basically we are, I'd say, pretty much halfway to Lac La Biche is about where we've responded to. All the way to basically past Kettle Rivers. So we have an incredibly huge response area. And most of the time it's like Keith and myself. So we're looking at maybe getting more of a full-time position for Keith and myself in those months where we're overwhelmed. You know, when we just leave the fire hall, we go home, you know, we jump into bed, we get called back. That's wasting time. And as firefighters know, you know, fire spreads doubles in size every like 30 seconds. So, you know, time is of the essence for us out here, especially we are right in the middle of the forest, as Jennifer was saying. You know, we live in a different area, you know, of the country. We deal with wildfires in Janvier. There's a lot of people that set fires, you know, deliberately. We don't have security at night. So we need something in place where, you know, where we can have somebody staffed here where we can basically, if it's drive around, you know, kind of catch some of these fires before they take off. So, you know, that's a huge thing. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. You answered my question. I think we have a couple more questions from other councillors. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Jennifer. Councillor Cardinal.
Thanks, Mayor. Through the chair to the presenters, thanks, gentlemen, for your presentation. I totally understand where it is you guys are coming from. I hear some of the rural communities, sometimes there's a disconnect there from the urban and the rural, because this is something that's an ongoing issue with the rural communities as well. I guess my question would be, do you feel that as a volunteer firefighter that you should be able to be accustomed to the same benefits as the people in Fort McMurray?
I do.
And that's kind of what we're advocating as Councillor Vardy brought this motion forward. I'll be supporting the motion, but I want you guys to know that I really hear you guys, because, you know, I guess I'll wait for debate for that, because I got some really harsh and good things to say at the same time about what's going on and the disconnect. So, thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal, and thanks, gentlemen. Thank you. Thanks for presenting. We'll go to questions, comments, and debate. My first question is, Councillor Vardy, your motion as it reads Regional Emergency Services Recruitment Strategy. When I read it, maybe I'm wrong, I was looking at the vacant positions the positions we just approved. Now that I hear from the boys, Keith and Chris, is this a recruitment strategy for volunteer in our rural areas? Is that what this recruitment is, or is it for our vacant positions with our RES overall? Maybe I just read it wrong.
No, thank you, Mayor Bowman. Great question. So from my understanding, and I am going to ask Rob just to make sure that I'm speaking appropriately. So RES includes all of our urban and our rural communities. So when I brought this motion forward, I had asked, should I specify urban and rural? And he said RES, Kelly actually said that. RES will accompany both of them. This is not specifically just for our vacancies. It's for our vacancies and moving forward.
Okay, and that's great. And I think with that will come, I'll get a presentation from either Kelly or Rob in the future, because I think our recruitment strategy for the rural is going to be different. As Chris and Keith brought up, it was a rate of pay and that sort of thing. I think that's an easy fix, and I don't even think we need to do that. I think you guys can do that, Rob. Kelly, you guys can do that? You're sitting in environmental services.
I got to join. I got to join the team. Yeah, through to the chair to the question. Our anticipation is to bring forward a motion for council just as kind of another salary adjustment, but we are planning on bringing that forward.
Okay.
In the spring, I'm hoping to, and since I got Keith and online there, is we're having a fire chiefs meeting on Thursday with the rural fire departments, and that's one of the items we're going to be talking about.
Perfect. And just a personal ask, can you do that before fire season starts?
We should be able to.
Okay, so we'll try to get that here in front of us, Keith and Chris and all the rural before fire season starts, because I know you guys are worked to the bone out in Janvier. No, so I appreciate the motion, Councilor Vardy, and I'll be fully supporting it now that I was reading it kind of wrong, but now I understand it, and I look forward to our administration with RES bringing forward that motion coming forward. So again, I fully support this. Councilor Van Castian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. I fully support this as well. I've talked with Councilor Vardy many times about this. I would like to see within that recruitment strategy specificity to the rural departments. There are different ways we need to recruit there. It's not a want, it's a how. And I think we do need to look at their pay, but thank you for bringing that forward here in April. I will be supporting it, and I hope to see some improvement with our rural departments.
Perfect. Thanks, Councilor Cassidy. I think you will when we see this come forward, because fire season is coming upon us. Councilor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. Just for point of clarity, because I didn't understand something there. I believe the gentleman's name was Chris. You say he has to pay for his own drugs. Is he not part of the benefits package and whatnot with the RM? Because they're volunteer. Understood. Okay. So this is more for recruitment of more volunteers?
Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. This is for recruitment for all of RES. So the volunteers in rural, are also a part of RES.
Yes.
So this one company, everybody.
Okay, so it's not just for the volunteers in the rural. This is for everything.
Correct. This is for everybody. Everyone under RES.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'll absolutely be supporting it. I missed that aspect part there, so thank you for clarifying.
Thanks, Councilor Brandt. Councilor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. I'll support the motion as it is. I kind of wanted to, so volunteer, I just kind of wanted to get a clarity on the volunteers stuff, because you have these gentlemen that are in rural, and the same with the other communities. Anzac, I spoke to a lady there, and then I obviously spoke to Sam Wiley in Fort Chipewyan, and there's a disconnect. And I'm wondering, is when you say volunteer firefighter in Fort McMurray, but all of them are paid, does that still make them volunteers?
Yeah, I'll let RES answer that. It's not exactly, it's volunteer, but it's paid for service. You gotta, sorry, Kelly, you're under environmental services. You keep pressing the button. Just press it once. Thank you.
I'm not very patient either, so I apologize for that. Through the chair to Council Cardinal, so yeah, the nomenclature for our rural departments is technically paid on call. So they are paid an hourly wage for every hour in training or on response based on time cards that they submit.
How much an hour is that?
Oh, you're testing me here. Deputy Chief Van Heck, do you remember their hourly? Oh, he's sending me. One moment. So, it is low, which is why we've been looking at it. So it's $25 an hour.
Yeah, I'd like to see that double if we could. But, and I'd be accustomed to bringing that forward if I can get
they're going to come back
support from you guys. And I think our
they're going to come
rural,
back in April.
I know, I think our rural firefighters that are volunteer deserve some benefits as well as, and be treated the same as the Fort McMurray firefighters, because I know we just approved one salary for $191,000 for a firefighter here in Fort McMurray. And you guys do the same work. Just because you're a smaller community doesn't mean you shouldn't be treated any differently. So hopefully the fire department listens to council's direction and find some answers that hopefully support this as a whole region, not just siloing each other and not supporting each other at the same level. So I expect to see some answers. Thanks.
Thanks, Councilor Cardinal. Councilor Varad, do you have any closing statements before we vote?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no closing statements.
Perfect. And we'll call for a vote. Councilor Marcel online, in favor or opposed? He's coming.
In favor.
Thank you, Councilor Marcel. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. And that concludes this evening's meeting. Thanks for participating. Remember, tomorrow was Anti-Bully Day, so I hope we see lots of people in pink. And let's keep that in mind as we move forward. Marcy Cho, Kinloss Compton. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.